He ran so quickly you couldn't see him run away. He looked like the Flash, I tell you. He ran, Barry, he ran. We need to like turn on like the Flash music. Jesus Christ, bro, zipped out quick as soon as I provided that argument. Let's go on to the next person. If you want to support me as always, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, link tree in the bio, as well as you can support me over YouTube Super Chat, as well as in the description of my YouTube. By the way, everyone, if you like this content, I go live every single day. Make sure to follow me here on TikTok if you haven't already. Subscribe to me on YouTube. It's free to do so for the 3,300 people on YouTube. Make sure to like the stream and to subscribe if you haven't already. Absolutely free to do. And I would really appreciate it. Help send out these lives more. If you're on TikTok, tap that screen to get to 2 million likes, everyone, along with make sure to follow if you haven't already. We have about 1,500 people that have followed new today. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it. And also, it's the best way to see me because sometimes, it doesn't send me out in the algorithm. But, recently, it's been actually pretty decent. The fact that we have 8,000 people on the TikTok stream is a really good sign. Ask yourself, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. Maddie, thank you for the corgi. Thank you. And for the 8,000 people on TikTok, make sure to follow if you haven't already. Make sure to like the stream by tapping the screen. If you want to support me as always, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, link tree in the bio. Again, for YouTube, make sure to like the stream. I'd really appreciate it. Ask yourself, thank you so much for the $5. Evelyn, thank you for the $20. Thank you so much for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Was never convicted of anything, but yet MAGA makes it seem like he's an animal. Donald Trump has convictions and judgments that we have him on record, and MAGA won't believe it. I know, literally racist. It's actually insane. It's like actually crazy. It's actually crazy. Insane perspectives. Like they believe the rule of law and the justice system as applicable to immigrants, but not as applicable to the president of the United States. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Let's go on to the next person. Only send a guest request if you do support Donald Trump. Let's go on to the next person. Juliet, thank you for the $57.57. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the incredibly kind words. Thank you so much. Katia, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $20 on Venmo. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Christine, thank you for the $25 on Venmo. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That we're sending love from Canada. Honestly, I don't know if don't think trading with Canada is beneficial. Maybe tell them about Operation Yellow Ribbon. They'll satisfy the Warhawks. Maybe they won't think that. Yeah, they probably won't. But I mean, I think it's incredibly important to trade with Canada. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Fetus. Thank you for the corgi, by the way.
Hello.
Elena, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you. Let's go on to the next person, everybody. Only send a guest request if you do support Donald Trump. We probably got like a little bit over 2 more hours left on the stream, everybody. 2 hours and 20 minutes or so left on the stream. Just letting everyone know. Make sure to follow and subscribe if you haven't already. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Let's go on to the next person. Kiana, thank you so much for the $15 on Venmo. Thank you so much. Jessica, thank you for $4.20. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. The kind words. Thank you. Elle, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you. Absolutely. That's incredible. I'm so happy to hear that. That's why I do literally comments like that. They said that I changed their parents from being MAGA to supporting Kamala Harris. That's fucking amazing. That's what we do this for. Maddie, thank you for the corgi. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Yo, I'm 19. What's up, man?
What's your birth year?
06.
And what month?
January.
And do you support Donald Trump?
I voted for him, yeah.
Okay, so 1 second real quick. What's up with the profile picture? Are you like a Trump cultist?
I mean, I just liked it,
What's up with the why'd you make a picture of Trump? Did you make that yourself?
No, I didn't make it. I just saved it. I got it from someone.
It looks like anime Trump, like from far away.
No, it is, yeah.
Like animated Trump. Yeah. So like, why do you support Trump?
I kind of just did it for the I guess immigration. Like, yeah, like that's pretty much it. The border crossings.
Just immigration, just border crossings. Okay, what about them?
Just wanted to cut down on the border crossings. Yeah, I don't think it's very safe.
Okay, what's not safe about people coming to the country?
Who's this?
An insane lunatic in the chat, but they left. So.
Hello?
Oh, hello?
What's up?
What did you just say in the chat?
I said make America a monarchy again with King Donald Trump as Donald the First.
You've got to be trolling.
Yeah, I want to say Donald Trump is a fucking hypocrite. He bombed Iran.
They're totally trolling. Haley, thank you so much for the $10. Thank you. Animated Trump is crazy. I know, right? And then ask yourself, think of the $5. Thank you. I know, right? All right, go ahead. You continue.
Yeah, what was I saying? Like, it's just the cutting down on the border crossings. I don't think is very safe.
Why?
Um, well, like they're coming from, like dangerous countries. Like there's undocumented and stuff like that. Um, it's just not that safe. So,
Okay, so they're coming from dangerous countries. Okay, I have a question. Would you accept, if you lived during like the times of the Holocaust, Jewish refugees from the Holocaust?
um, like, what do you mean? Sorry, can you
Yeah, like
explain that
do you
again?
think that the U.S. should have accepted Jewish refugees from the Holocaust because they're coming from a dangerous country?
Mm. No, the dangerous country got defeated. I mean, it's over for them.
Well, I'm asking, but if you lived at
I
the
see. I
time,
see the point you're trying to make. I see. Yeah. Well, the thing is, right? Like, those are refugees, but also
but they're coming from a
that's
dangerous
more.
country. So the idea that an immigrant
Well,
is
hold
coming
on.
from a dangerous country is not
Well, I
reason
wasn't
to
done.
not let them come to the country. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just I didn't finish, but yeah. So like I was saying, the refugees, but the thing is though, it's like that's more of the exception, not the rule. And the United States government, um, they looked through it. They made the decision to take them in, and they made also the decision to take in a certain number of refugees. If they wanted to take in, like, let's say they took in 100,000 total, just refugees in general, and they just or but they like, but instead of that, they could have chosen like 6,000 because that was safer or whatever. Like they could have done that if they wanted to put their people first. Yeah.
I'm confused.
Do you?
What
Sorry, did I may have
understand?
explained it wrong.
Are you
Do you
saying that
understand what I'm
like you
saying?
would restrict people from coming from dangerous countries?
No, what I'm saying is that when the United States, first of all, that's World War II, right? It's the biggest war. I mean, like 80 million people died, right? Um, and people are like their lives are destroyed and things like that, and they accepted refugees, but they only accepted a certain number. Um, and they did that because they could have chosen more, but they did it for a reason, right? And if they had legitimate reasons to reduce that number to something else, then yeah, they could have done that absolutely. I don't think there's anything wrong with that if they think that it was unsafe for the country.
Okay. Undocumented immigrants commit crimes at lower rates than natural born U.S. citizens by multiple times. Lower in violent crime,
Yeah.
drug crime, and property crime. Given that that's the case, what makes you think that if there were more undocumented immigrants in the country, that it would make the country less safe?
Can I see this? What studies is that for all states?
PNAS.org. And also, yes, there are plenty of states. What I was referencing was one from Texas, but there's also a bibliography in my bio where I have information about, a bunch of different states in terms of the comparing undocumented immigrants. That was set up by my friend Matt, who's a librarian, who's fucking based. We love Matt here.
Okay, hold on. What's the study called so I can look it up? Because I'm
Uh,
not denying it. I
just
think it is
just
probably
look up
true. Yeah.
PNAS, undocumented immigrants versus natural born U.S. citizens crime rate.
ENS
Yeah,
on
PNAS.
PNAS undocumented immigrants.
Yeah,
Um, is this what state is this exactly?
Texas.
What year is this? 20. It says 2020, right?
Pretty sure.
2012. Let's see. U.S.-born citizens are 2 times more likely to be arrested for violent crimes, drug crimes, 4 times more likely for property crimes, In addition, the proportion of arrests involving undocumented immigrants roughly stable. And between U.S. born citizens and undocumented immigrants are robust using alternative estimates of the border undocumented immigration, alternate classifications of those counted as undocumented arrests. Okay, I don't know what this last part means. I'm sorry.
Essentially, the point is that undocumented immigrants commit less crime than natural-born U.S. citizens. So the idea here that you have that undocumented immigrants coming to the country are making the country less safe is actually just complete propaganda.
I don't see how that. No, that doesn't really address it because I mean, you're just saying that they're less likely. This is per capita, right? For this specific study. Yeah, you're just saying that they're less likely to commit crimes. That's it. How does that mean that it's like not unsafe?
How do undocumented immigrants make the country less safe?
Yeah, because they come in from countries. I could probably show you some studies, like Guatemala. I think that's. Let me see. I want to see the. I think they come from
Repeat
Guatemala.
what you just said. I didn't get what you just said there.
I said they come in from countries like Guatemala as well, and like that's not safe.
Coming from, I'm sorry, like, so you're saying you wouldn't accept anyone coming from the country from Guatemala?
I think the U.S. government can like decide whether it's a good idea or not. I don't think it's a good idea though, because the government is pretty corrupt there. And I
Oh,
don't think you should trust them.
so to clarify, you agree that the government's corrupt, and you don't want anyone to be allowed to come to the country just because the government's corrupt? Isn't
Well,
that like
the-
a good reason why you'd want to allow people to come to the country because their government's corrupt?
Well, the thing is, right? We have to put our country first. We
Yeah,
have
that
to
doesn't put our country first.
prioritize.
So to clarify, what about
Well, let me
Guatemala
just
in
finish.
particular? Just tell me.
I would just like to. Yeah, I can read you 2023 Human Rights Report of Guatemala, and it shows that the government has taken no steps to address any of these issues.
Yeah, the
It's,
government doing wrong is not
2023.
evidence that immigrants coming from Guatemala are a threat to our country. Like, seriously, what?
didn't-
Can you give me any good evidence that
I didn't say
Guatemalans
that.
that come to the United States, right, are committing crime at
No, I
higher
didn't.
rates?
No, you're not listening. I can give you the source, but
Okay,
the
well,
source
go
shows-
ahead.
Yeah, do you want me to so it's 2023 Country Reports on Human Rights Practices, Guatemala.
Again, no, that's not. You're not providing a source that people coming from Guatemala in the United States have committed more crimes.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you have to give me evidence that people who are coming from Guatemala commit more crime in the United States.
Like than U.S. citizens?
Yeah.
I never made that claim.
Well, you're claiming that Guatemalans that come to the United States are a threat to our country and should not be allowed because their government is dangerous.
I didn't say they're more dangerous than U.S. born citizens. I
Okay,
never
so then
made
why
that.
would you restrict people from Guatemala from coming to the country?
Because I don't know how you're not following here. You have a dangerous country with all these gangs, and you have also a corrupt government taking in hundreds of thousands of people from these countries like Guatemala. It's not really. That's not safe.
Okay, I have a question. Would you have taken refugees from the Soviet Union?
Isn't this just the Holocaust question? I already answered this.
No,
You're
Soviet
just
Union.
looking at that Soviet Union now?
Yeah.
I don't know about the Soviet Union, dude. Was it like?
You
Like,
wouldn't
I
have
don't know.
accepted refugees from the Soviet Union?
I mean, dude, this is like I was just giving the same answer from like for the H cost. It's if the government deemed it safe and necessary, and yeah, sure, but they're still
It's
going
not
to
just whether or not the government deems it safe and necessary, because whether or not they quote unquote deem it as safe and necessary
Yeah, no,
is
that's
totally
wrong.
dependent on the level of bigotry that they express in plenty of circumstances. And just because
no,
they say that
okay.
doesn't mean it's true. Plenty of people claim that undocumented immigrants, right, are at this greater likelihood, right, of committing crime or are like such a threat to the
never made
country.
that.
They're not.
never
Undocumented
made the
immigrants
claim.
are not a threat to this country by any means.
Okay.
Give me a single reason why deporting undocumented immigrants that have not committed a violent crime or bad crime is making this
Well, I'm
country
not talking
safer.
about- No, I'm not even talking about I'm not even talking about deportation.
No.
Just talking about-
Listen to my point there. Name me a single, like seriously, a
You said
single.
deportations. I didn't talk about deportations. I'm just talking about border crossings.
Name me a single reason why deporting undocumented immigrants who have not committed violent crimes or bad crimes, right, makes the country safer.
Why do you keep going to deport? I just told you we're talking about border crossings. Why are you going to deportations? We're
Because
just
the
talking
way
about
that
border
you would,
crossings right now.
how do you think we respond to the level of border crossings? Do we deport people
It's like you catch them,
and then do what?
like you catch them, but there's also like security. Yeah.
And then do what?
Well, I don't know. Do you like deport? Would that be even considered deportation? No, I'm just generally asking, dude. I'm like, dude, just answer the question. Like, you don't have to
Yes.
like. Okay, just answer. Just say that then. Okay, I thought you were talking about the ones that are already in this country. That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about people in the country.
No, I'm just talking about. I mean, I guess like
If someone comes to the country and then law enforcement finds them and deports them, that's deportation.
I'm just specifically talking about people crossing the borders right now.
Like if they're
I'm not talking
turned
about
away
people
at the
that-
border,
Yeah, I guess like sure.
that's
Yeah.
not what we were talking about, though. That's not that's
Okay.
not deportation if you're
I think we're
turned
just-
away at the border.
Okay, I think we were just talking over each other then. But what you were saying about the Soviet Union, like if the government, again, if they decide, hey, it's not very safe, we can't take these people in. At least not at this number. We need to
Okay,
take
well,
in
okay,
less-
how is it not safe?
I'm saying if the government wants to do, I don't know what the government's methods are. I'm just saying if the government,
Dude, I'm asking you how you think the government should operate. Like seriously, give me a reason
The
why
Soviet Union?
you.
I don't
No.
know,
How about
dude.
this? How about this? Give me. Yeah, because like you wouldn't have restricted people from the Soviet Union, even though you think that the Soviet Union was dangerous. There are aspects
I
of the
don't
Soviet
know.
Union that were dangerous. So
No,
again,
I'm saying,
just
dude, I
because
don't
a
know the
country is
methods.
dangerous that someone
my
is coming
God.
from does not
No, you're
mean
not letting
they
me
are
respond.
dangerous to our country. So then my
Wait, you're
point
not letting me
specifically.
respond.
Go ahead.
Can I just okay, I'm just saying, like, if I don't know what methods the government would use, but I'm saying if they were to use like specific methods, and they said, for example, hey, we thought 60,000 was was a good number. That's actually not. We ran it. It's probably not going to be a good idea. Let's take in like 30,000. I'm just giving an example, and they said, hey, this is for the safety of the country. Then yeah, like there's no problem. It's fine. We're not obligated to take in refugees, bro. Or any immigrants. We're not obligated to do that. We can just completely close our borders and not take anyone in. We don't have to take people in. We're a sovereign country.
I think that's wrong.
You can think it's wrong, but I'm just saying we don't have to do that. Like we're not obligated to take in refugees. It's sure it can be a good thing. I'm not
Well, we
saying
are
it's
because
bad.
it's beneficial for our economy, right? It's beneficial for them,
Okay,
and it's
well,
beneficial
I
for
don't-
us.
I don't really
And it's
think
morally
America-
good to help people who are in need in those circumstances because it is a case that they're fleeing oppression.
Okay, I don't really think America is an economic zone. I think it's actually our home. And not
I
just
think
like,
that here's my idea of America.
it's
America
fine.
is a melting pot of people from all around the world, and no matter who
A
you are
melting
around the
pot.
world, you can come to this country if you've not committed a violent crime or bad crime, and it is the case that you can become an American. Anyone around the entire fucking world, I don't care where you're fucking from, if you haven't committed a violent crime or bad crime, you can fucking become an American. Point blank, period. That's the great
I mean,
thing
that was
about
just-
the United States of America is that when you come to this country and you immigrate here, you become an American.
Okay,
That's
I
a
mean,
great
we're kind of-
fucking thing. And I think that immigration is something that we should accept as a fundamental aspect of our culture and what the identity of what being an American is. The identity of being an American includes the fact that we are supportive of people coming from all around the world to America because it's the best country, right, that we can create for people when it is the case that we are accepting of people. It is way better of a country, America, right, if it is the case that we are willing to accept people from all around the world to make our country a better place. It benefits you. It does. It absolutely benefits you.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No, it does not. I don't think it does actually. But like, I don't. Again, I'm not just for the economy. I think it's more than that. I don't think America is an economic zone. Like I said, it's our home.
What do you mean?
And,
What do you mean by economic zone?
Because when you just say, "Oh, well, it's good for the economy, man," like it's just good for the economy. It's like, yeah, sure.
Oh, so you
it
don't
might
care.
increase
You just
GDP,
don't
but
care about the economy, essentially.
I didn't
You
say
don't care
that,
about the
but
level of safety. What is worse about allowing for more immigration?
well, I mean, Japan received 2 nuclear bombs and they didn't die from that. If you were to give them like mass migration.
Yeah,
that would
Japan
destroy
would.
Japan.
No, it wouldn't. Japan needs mass
Yes, it
migration.
would.
What?
No, they just need to have kids, bro. That's all.
Wait,
They
what?
literally just need to have kids.
Wait.
Like,
Explain to
everybody
me.
just have
Wait,
kids.
hold on. Why is it preferable to have kids rather than to allow for immigration?
Because the country will, it'll probably be more devastating than two nuclear bombs. Like, let's be honest. Like, if you were to have like a bunch of like third world migration, like the country's gonna turn into a third world country, and it's not even gonna be the same country anymore. It's
Oh,
completely
okay.
different.
So he thinks that when people come from countries around the world, right, it makes our country worse off. What evidence do you have
It's in
that
the-
our
I think it's
economy
in- yeah.
becomes worse off because people
I didn't say
immigrate to this
economy.
country from places around the world that might not be as well off as we are?
Wait, I didn't even say about what. What do you mean economy? I'm not even. You're the one who's talking about economy, dude. You're trying to make it seem like America is all about the economy.
Wait,
bro.
what,
Like,
what
this
do you
is
mean by
stupid,
third
bro.
world country?
Like just poor. I guess just third world countries. I don't know. Just any
What,
third
what
world
does that
country.
mean?
Well, actually, it doesn't even have to be third world country. Like even
Like,
if
can
it
you
was
just tell me
like,
what you mean by that?
No, I'm saying. Well, I'll just correct myself. It doesn't have to be necessarily a third world country.
Oh, really? So what are you referencing then?
Well, if Japan were to take in even like Chinese immigrants, like it would the country would change. Or if he was like, even
What's wrong with the country changing? The country changes
Well-
also when you have more kids.
Although obviously, if it were to be, because like China and Japan, they do have similarities, so it's not going to be like as different than like people from other different
Oh,
countries.
okay. So he's saying
Like,
culture. You're saying
this-
culture wise?
Not just culture, but like
What's
ethnic,
harm?
like,
What, tell me.
yeah.
When someone comes from another country around the world, what's harmful to our culture when someone does?
Well, I mean, don't you think America, like until like the 1965 Act, like it was kind of just like a white, like European country? Don't you say that?
Oh, look at it right here. This fucking racist piece of shit. Whoa, look at him right here. You fucking absolutely disgusting piece of shit. There it fucking is. You see it right there. Look at that. That right there. That's it. That's it.
That's a fact. It's a
Wait,
1965
There you go.
Act.
There you go. Mask off. Just mask off. Mask off. He wants the country to be white.
Oh,
He wants
That's
the
not-
Stop talking. Stop talking. Let me talk, please. Let me talk.
okay, I will.
Let me
Can I
talk.
respond after?
Let me talk. You want the country to be white.
No, not
That's
true.
what you want the country to look like because it's been white in the past. Or is that your
No.
view?
No, you want me to explain?
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Well, America has always been historically predominantly, sure, it's been predominantly white, but it's also been African American and Native American. I want it to be like that, preferably.
Originally was indigenous, right? Do you agree?
There was no America before, like the Europeans came, though.
Okay, so
Like
so
there was no United States, dude.
oh, okay, so that you just don't recognize it.
No, they're still American. No, they'll still be here. I'm not like. I
There
don't
were
think we should
people
get
living
rid
here
of them.
before, right? So there still was a country.
No, there was no country. There was no United States. It was just like.
Wait, to clarify, the United States was not recognized as a country, but what we call the United States, right, in itself, in that geographical location, that still existed. And there were people that lived there. Do you agree?
There was like different tribes. Yeah, there was like probably
That's
different tribes. But there was no, like,
people who
civilization.
live there,
There was no
right?
civilization. Well, there's no civilization. Like there was nothing there.
What is civilization?
You know, like dude, just like civilization, bro. Like factories.
It's just civilization, factories, bro. So civilization didn't
Yeah,
exist
bro.
until the Industrial Revolution.
Well, no, not just factories, bro. Like you
What
know
is civilization?
like European civilization.
Oh, so he only categorizes civilization as European civilization.
It was predominantly European inventions.
Wait,
yeah.
no. Why are only European civilizations
I could be
designated
wrong,
as
though.
civilizations?
Was it not predominantly European? It was always a predominantly European.
I'm sorry.
country.
Did civilizations exist prior to the United States of America being designated as a country?
There was other countries before? Yeah, sure.
There were people that lived there, correct? So how come they don't have a right over the land in that type of way? In order to say that like it should look right, like this country should be mostly indigenous. Why don't they have a right to say that under your view?
They weren't the ones that built it, bro. Like, come on. Dude, I'm not even white, bro, and I'm saying this shit. Like, come on, like you're white.
Wait,
You're
hold
supposed to
up.
be saying this stuff, and I'm saying this stuff for you.
Oh, okay.
Like, come
Well,
on.
yeah, because I'm not fucking insane. I'm not. I don't support
White
racist
supremacy?
ideologies like you are. Regardless of whether or not you're a white, this is fucking racist ideology, by definition.
Someone said they were conquered. That's true. They were conquered.
What? What'd you say?
No, someone in the chat said that they were conquered.
I'm confused. Yes, people were. The land was stolen. Do you agree the land was stolen?
Like, what do you mean by stolen? What does that mean?
People lived on the land prior and had ownership over that land. And then people came, murdered people at mass, killed their children, and took their land and then forced them onto reservations.
Like I said, like,
Did you
there
not
was, like,
go to
different
did you not
tribes.
take history class?
Dude, there were different tribes, bro. They were literally like, fighting
Did you
each
go
other.
to history class? Genuinely.
Yeah, sure.
Did you pay attention?
I tried to. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like you did.
Bro, someone said PragerU. I don't watch PragerU. Okay, you take that back. Someone said I watch PragerU. What is this guy talking about?
PragerU knows more than you. Genuinely.
Okay, but I do not. No, okay. Do not compare me to PragerU, bro. Come on.
They probably know more than you.
Okay, but you cannot compare me. Chill. You can't. Do not compare me to PragerU. They're my ops. Like, dead ass. Those
Why?
guys are my ops.
Why?
Because, bro, it's like, dude, these guys pretend like they're America first and like they're like these like conservatives, and it's like they just like bro, they just show for Israel, but like I don't like it, dude. Like, I'm for a free Palestine, okay?
I have a feeling that you're only free Palestine because you're literally anti-Semitic.
It's not true. I actually love everyone.
I believe in a free Palestine, absolutely. But I have the feeling that you're a racist, anti-Semitic piece of shit, and that's the reason why you're saying that right now.
It's not true. I love everyone, dude. I try to love everyone.
I don't like the fact that you are associated with the movement in Free Palestine. Like, I think you should fuck off. I think racist, anti-Semitic pieces of shit should fuck off out of the movement, because I think it destroys the movement. Because you're just like, because like literally Nazis will parade
Well, my
themselves
anti-Semite.
as like, hold up, Nazis will like parade themselves as like being supportive of that type of stuff. You're a fucking Nazi. You are not on the side of self-determination and human rights, right? And a free Palestine.
I don't place race over God. I'm not. I can't be a national socialist.
Wait, so then why should this country be white?
No, but like,
So then why should this country be white?
no, I'm saying that I want the country to be predominantly. Yeah.
So then why should this country be white? Explain that to me. If you don't care
This is
about
how-
fucking race,
No,
please
that's-
explain to me why this country should be white.
No, but like placing race over God would mean like it would mean kind of like doing what like the Nazis did.
Wait, I have a question. Are you Christian?
I mean, I'm not allowed to like teach about like Christianity.
Oh, don't even tell me that. What would Jesus say? Would Jesus say
Yeah.
that this country should be white?
Jesus actually says to.
Or
give
would
unto
Jesus
Caesar
say
what's
no matter
Caesar's,
who
yeah?
you are or where you are in your walk of life, you are welcome here? That's what I fucking heard growing up. That's what I learned. No matter who you are, no matter at what point you are in your walk of life, you are welcome here. That was the
Weren't you
fucking message that I learned.
Weren't you Protestant? Like that should have been.
I was non-denominational.
I have a quick question for him.
Go ahead.
Hey,
What's up,
what
Santana?
God? Which one? Which God are we talking about? Can you be specific? And
well,
how do you know that's the right God?
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm not. I don't have permission to like teach about like my religion.
Got it. Cool.
Exactly, teach
Hey,
everything.
so I just wanted, because I was listening and I want to take a half step back. Hey, what's Turtle Island?
I don't know, what is that? Is that like some indigenous?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Turtle Island is what's now called the Americas, where indigenous people actually were here before, the land was stolen. But even more than that, right? You, for some reason, you said that that it wasn't civilized, or basically there was no actual what did you call it?
He said there was no civilization. That's what he said.
Yeah,
explicitly.
civilization. Yeah. Hey, so I'm trying to understand what is like the barometer for civilization, because I mean, there's been multiple forms of civilization throughout the history of the world, and even more if you want to talk about like the Europeans that stole this land and colonized it. I mean, there's been greater civilizations than that, like in Africa specifically. And
Africa, bro, they live in mud huts. What are you talking about?
yeah, have you ever? Wait, hold on. I got him, Parker. It's cool. Hey, have you
just
ever
let me
been
know
to
when I can
Africa?
fucking dude.
I got him. It's okay. Have you ever been to Africa, bud?
Yeah, I have.
When? Where?
Well,
What
I
part?
have to- Yeah. Does Egypt count?
Yes, Egypt counts. Wait,
No,
so
I
you're saying that they live in mud huts in Egypt?
No, I'm talking about like the poor parts. I was
Oh,
just
okay. Wait. So, okay, cool. In that case, what about like the poor parts of America? Because there's poor parts of America where people live in trailers, right? And some of those quote unquote mud huts in Africa would be better than those trailers than the United States. So I'm a little bit confused. Anywho, that wasn't the point. Again,
No, what?
wait. The point that I was making is Africa specifically had more advanced civilization than than Europe in multiple points of its history. So for you
not
to
true.
actually say it
You
again?
have more That's not true. You guys just have more resources, but you don't even know how to use
Well,
them.
no, the resources were stolen. But yes,
Yeah,
it
'cause
is.
you guys
Hey,
didn't know how to use them,
who created electricity?
I'm not sure. Who is it?
Who, or not necessarily created, but who's the first one to utilize electricity?
Here, let me look it up for you.
Please, no, look it up for yourself. I know.
Who invented?
Not invented, but the Parker, how are you, bro?
Not doing good right now. I'm not gonna lie. I
can
really want to
tell.
kick him. Like I really hate you.
Calm down.
I
Ooh,
hate
those
you. Like
fingers of yours.
fuck
Ooh.
you. Like I actually fucking
Yeah.
hate this person.
Yeah,
this person's so horrible.
He is a POS, but this is a teaching moment. This is a teachable moment.
Bro, I love everyone, bro. You guys are hating on me.
Sure, sure you do. While you're looking at it out, the point that I'm trying to make,
It says
as far as
Benjamin Franklin, by the way, and
yeah, I'm sure it does. Again, hey, check out the actual history of
Edison
electricity
actually
when it comes to Africa, specifically Egypt, right? I mean, the ancient Egyptians had a system of utilizing electricity, so I mean, there's that. Anyway,
was that
when
when they were white?
hey, fun fact. Do you
No, I'm just
think
asking.
that
I'm generally
do you
asking,
think
is that
that
when they were
white
white?
people wait, slow down for a second, bud. Do you think white people, the ones that had a lack of melanin in their skin, would have been able to exist in Egypt? In Egypt, just logically speaking, do you think they would have been quote unquote white with the actual land area that's in Africa? How does that work?
What? They can move there, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, move there from where?
Shit, they can migrate, bro.
From where? From
Bro, they're white.
where? Keep
Bro,
up,
they're
bro.
Now
white
he's saying
people, bro.
migration is okay. By the way.
Exactly. Well, I mean, so the point that I was trying to make,
Is like a horrible
sure.
thing.
The point that I was trying to make is that your thought process behind, keeping this country, whatever. One, you said, African Americans were here and indigenous people was here. But it's funny you said that, but then completely ignored indigenous people as far as their land. Whatever. One, do black people and indigenous people get a vote on how this country gets to stay? Because if so, I'm pretty sure overwhelmingly we would say, yeah, let people in. But also, too, just to be clear, white people throughout throughout the history of the world, they haven't, come in and created. They've just come in and colonized. They've come in and stolen. And that's been the actual situation of this country. This country was built by black people. It was stolen from indigenous people, built by black people, and today maintained by those brown people that you guys are trying to actually kick out of the country. So when you talk about this country and how it should be or whatever the case may be, no.
Okay, Santana, I love you, man, but picking cotton did not build America, bro. Okay.
Sure.
Following
Sure.
Fuentes
Hold on. Before,
Twitter
wait.
and
Hold on.
Yo,
I got him,
Dominic
Parker. I got him. Hold on. Hold on.
Dominic
Hold on.
Fuentes,
Wait. Hold on. Before that quote unquote
Fuentes.
cotton was picked.
Dominic Fuentes.
Cool. Before that, don't crash out. It's okay, Parker. Before that cotton was actually picked, answer this question. What was the actual financial state of this country?
I mean, like, you mean why did they go for this to the Civil War?
Why did they have to pick said cotton?
What do you mean? Well, because
Why was there a need to quote unquote pick the cotton? Why?
dude, I don't know, the Jewish.
You don't, because you don't know things. You don't know things. The reason why there was a need to pick that cotton was because this country was on the brink of financial collapse, and France was actually positioning itself to buy off parts of the America because the country did not have the funds to keep running. And so when you say, oh, picking cotton, yeah, literally black people not only quote unquote picked the cotton, but black people built the country. Literally the White House. Black people built the White House. Black people built this country off of free labor. So for you to sit here and say, oh, this country wasn't built on pick cotton, literally it was. But even more than that, the black people literally built this country brick by brick.
I mean,
for free.
I mean, dude, I'm not saying you guys didn't contribute at all. Like, obviously, I'm not saying. I'm just saying you didn't build America. That's all I'm saying, bro. Parker, are you gonna debate Nick Fuentes? Like, he's the best.
All right, I'm done.
You see, he's literally, dude. I knew he was a fucking. I knew it.
Yeah.
I fucking knew it. Literal Nazi, dude. Literal fucking Nazi.
Yeah. Anyway, so fucking insane. They're getting worse. They're literally getting worse. Like they're getting worse, Parker.
I know that was really bad. That was one of the worst guests I've ever had.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? They try to rage bait and think that like it's gonna get a reaction, and it bothers them when I don't give them a reaction because I'm not snowflakes like them. But yeah. Anyway, real quick before I take off, Samantha, thank you for the 10, and Katniss, thank you for the 5. You guys are awesome. Parker, I'm gonna let you get back to it, and hopefully you get better debates and better people. Also, W's in the chat for Brett Cross. I saw him down here. I love you, brother. All right, Parker, I'll see you later.
Appreciate you, man, as always. Claire, thank you so much for the $5. Ayana, thank you so much. Really appreciate the $20. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Romy, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $25. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Claire with the $5. Thank you. Thank you so much. Megan, the $2. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Courtney with the $5. Thank you. Craving, thank you so much for the $10. Let's go on to the next person real quick, everybody. Only send a guest request if you do support Donald Trump. By the way, everyone, subscribe if you're new. If you're on YouTube, for the 3,400 people that are in here, make sure to like the stream. I would really appreciate if we get to 2,000 likes. Also, by the way, you might not see my streams if you don't follow me. So if you're on TikTok, make sure to follow me. You might have followed my other accounts because I just got my main account back a bit recently. So it's good to be back. Yo, what's up? How old are you? You might not be following me. You might have followed on my other accounts. We're back on the main account. I'm super glad to be back. We've almost hit 2,000 new followers for today, which is sick. The algorithm seemingly getting back into the rhythm. So I appreciate everyone. I appreciate everyone supporting. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to like the stream. That seriously, it literally pushes out the content on YouTube so much with just a like. Yo, what's up? How old are you? And it's free to do. As well as if you want to support me, as always, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Linktree in the bio, as well as the description of the YouTube. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Let's go on to the next person. Only send a guest request if you do support Donald Trump. We are just looking for some debates. Davey, thank you for the subscription. Thank you so much, Davey. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
18.
Do you support Trump?
Yes.
What's your birth year?
2007.
Did you vote for Donald Trump?
No, sir.
No? Okay. So if you could go back in time, would you vote for him?
Yes, sir.
Why so?
Sorry, I'm nervous. I want to start off by saying I am neither conservative or liberal. I'm just getting into it.
Okay.
I'm more leaning right now, mainly for the purpose of, I feel like everyone wants to support illegal immigration. I'm not for that, mainly because any other country, the shit wouldn't fly. It doesn't fly anywhere else. I don't know why it should fly here. So if I can ask you, Parker, what should make the USA different from all other countries? And we should allow illegal immigration, unlike anywhere else, unlike any other country.
Super left star. No. Here's my position. And it might sound a little bit weird to you. We shouldn't allow for it because there should be mass amnesty. right? Does that make sense? So there wouldn't be
I'm listening.
quote unquote illegal immigration because we give anyone who's in the country undocumented immigrant, who's an undocumented immigrant in the country, hasn't committed a violent crime or bad crime, a pathway to citizenship, right? And we make the system super fast. So if anyone hasn't committed a violent crime or bad crime, they can very quickly get into the country. So people are very much incentivized to go through legal pathways. So that will practically, almost in its entirety, reduce illegal immigration within that respect. But it's a manner in which doesn't, involve deportation. And like,
Sure.
also, if you care so much about breaking the law, why are you on an illegal app right now?
No, I mean, it's not, breaking the law. It's not an illegal app. It's
Yes,
been
it is.
extended.
It's
from
this
the
app
court.
is actually illegal under the law currently, and it's just not being enforced.
Okay, so Parker, it would be pretty easy for me to swing left. Like I say, I agree with the abortion on the left side. I agree with the immigration on the right side. So, another question for you. What is different from Trump's deportation than Obama's deportation during his term?
As to why people were protesting, due process rights.
Okay, but once again, it's still the same. It's still the same situation. Illegals. If you come here,
Undocumented immigrants.
illegally, yes. So if you come here illegally, if you come over the border illegally, you're getting sent back. Whether it's Mexico, whether it's Canada, no matter where it is, you're getting sent back. Not just Mexico.
Rory, thank you for $2.
So-
Susanna, thank you so much. I really appreciate the
But
$10.
I
Thank you so
completely-
much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming every day. Craving, thank you so much for the $10. So yeah, okay. So I have a question. So someone who's brought to this country when they were a child, an infant, right? They don't know who their parents are. Their parents left them with a different family, and that different family doesn't know who the parents are, where they're from. They just wanted to take care of the child because they, we're just very caring Christians, right? They wanted to take care of the child. And in that specific circumstance, right, you don't know where the person's from, right? They're now an adult, right? And they've been here, living here their whole life. In that specific scenario, they're undocumented. Would you say they should be deported?
I believe I missed the question. So was it legally or illegally?
Yeah, they're in the
are they
country.
documented?
They're in the country undocumented.
Then I think they should be deported.
To what country?
Their homeland.
And what is that? You don't know.
Not sure.
Okay, so then where are they sent?
If we don't know, then I guess we don't know, Parker.
You don't know. You're gonna send them to like Guantanamo Bay.
Mexico. I mean, Mexico, Canada, wherever. Their family tree.
No, you don't know. We just told you like you don't know anything about their family tree.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's ways of finding out, Parker.
No, you have no clue. How do you find out? They have no documents in any other country. They don't know who their parents are.
Well, how did they get here?
Remember, I told you, they were brought to the country when they were a child,
Okay.
and they were left with a family. And
They were brought-
The family that they were
brought
left
by who?
with doesn't know who the parents are, but they're just a Christian, loving family, and they wanted to take care of the kids, given that they didn't have any parents to take care of them.
Well, who were they brought by?
What?
Who were they brought by?
Again, you don't know.
Well, I don't think that's possible, Parker. I don't
He
think it's
doesn't think
possible.
that is a possible scenario. What's impossible about the scenario?
Not knowing how somebody gets here. I mean, it's pretty hard to get into America. We can agree on that, right?
So, is it possible? Could it happen?
It is possible, but it's pretty hard.
Okay,
And
it might not be likely, but it's definitely possible. So if you agree that
Well, I
it's
mean, there's
possible,
only a
can you
couple of
respond to it?
countries that border
Can you
us.
respond to it in that scenario? Where should they be deported?
I mean, there's only a couple of countries that border us, Parker.
In that scenario, where should they be deported?
Wherever they're from.
You don't know.
Well, Parker, it doesn't take rocket science, and there's not many
What
situations.
rocket? So tell me, what are you going to do? How are you going to figure that out?
There's really no way that you don't know. It's pretty
There's
hard.
no way that you don't know. So you said it's impossible.
It's pretty impossible, Parker. There's
Pretty
only
impossible?
Canada-
No, that doesn't sound like you're
there's
very
only
certain of that
Canada
one.
and
Pretty
Mexico.
impossible is not a fucking. What do you? That's essentially saying that it is possible, but you're just saying it's improbable.
So what makes you support
Wait,
illegal?
can you address that? When you say it's like, dude, you obviously in that scenario mean that it's possible, but it's improbable. And I agree, it's improbable. But in certain scenarios, if that were to happen, what would you do? Where should they be deported?
I don't.
You
see
don't
a
know what
scenario-
country they're from.
I don't see a scenario where
I'm
that
giving you
happens.
one right now.
You're pretty much always gonna know. I cannot answer that because I do not know a situation where this is possible. You're just making this up
I'm
because.
giving you the scenario. I'm literally
Okay,
telling
well, let
you.
me ask you a question, Parker. Can you tell me one country that
respond to it.
allows undocumented immigrants into their country and there is no punishment? No punishment at all.
I don't know what most immigration laws are for different countries. I have no clue.
Because it's not legal. It's illegal immigration. Like I'm apparently on this illegal app, right? So
Yeah, wait. Why do we have to enforce the law in every single way that it exists in the law? There are plenty of laws that exist on the books that we don't enforce. Like, for example, the fucking app you're on right now.
Okay, what is the punishment for being on this app? What is the
Technically,
if it is
technically, there
illegal,
should be fines.
Can you tell me people who have been fined for being on this illegal?
No,
app?
because it's not being enforced.
So it's not illegal. What makes it illegal? What makes it illegal to have this app on my phone? If there is no punishment for it, what makes it illegal?
It's just a law that's not being enforced by the Trump administration. It's still a law that exists on the books. Did you just screenshot?
Yeah,
Why'd you screenshot?
I screenshotted a notification.
Are you gonna be like, yo, dude, in the group chat tonight, like, dude, guys, I debated Parker on live.
No. I respect you, Parker. So, like I say, I more so lean right, but it would be pretty easy for me to swing left depending on who the nominee is. But I think that the Democratic Party is pretty much in shambles. There are a couple of Democratic nominees I would vote for, but I feel like the Republican Party is set for a long time.
Why?
The Democratic Party just does not have it together, Parker. Joe Biden was a pretty
in what
good
way?
example. The last good Democratic nominee was Barack Obama. What made Kamala Harris qualified to be president?
Yeah, she was vice president. She was district attorney. She was attorney general. She was a senator. And
So,
she also supported better policy than Donald Trump. Donald Trump had zero set of qualifications. If you cared about qualifications, who do you think should have been president, elected in 2016? Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump? Melanie,
Bernie
leave the money gun.
Sanders. Bernie Sanders.
Okay. Insane take to say that you'd support Bernie over Trump, but you wouldn't support Harris over Trump. That's like a crazy take. But we
How
can talk
so?
about that. We can talk about that here in a second. But can you please answer my question? Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump?
2016, Hillary Clinton. After the first Trump administration, probably Donald Trump.
Okay,
There
so
were-
then who is more qualified, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump?
Donald Trump.
What were his set of qualifications?
Parker, I want to go back.
No. What were
I
his
wanna-
what were his set of qualifications?
What were Kamala's set of qualifications?
I already described it to you. Can you please answer the question? I literally already answered that
I'm gonna go
question.
back
Can you
for a
answer my
second.
question? What
You
are
s- I
what
wanna
are
go
what
back.
were
You
Trump's?
said-
No,
you said that
no,
Kamala
no,
Harris
no,
being
no, no,
vice
no, 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 no,
president-
no,
They-
no.
Bad dog?
I was about to say that. Don't make me
Bad
do
dog? All right. So I want to go back for a second. Kamala Harris being vice president made her qualified to be president. So are you saying that JD Vance?
Can you wait?
in
Can I not?
2020
Can we?
was qualified to be president?
Can I please? that could be a qualification that you'd mention off for JD Vance, but doesn't mean I would say that he would be to my standards because of the set of values that we'd prescribe on top of that. But that doesn't. But yes, it is a qualification. JD Vance is more qualified than Trump was. Yeah.
Wow. What makes you say that?
He actually has like political experience. That Donald Trump in
He has a very-
2016.
he has a very
Donald
smooth
Trump in
talk.
2016 had zero political experience.
That is an insane take as well, Parker.
What? What was? Oh, do you count Trump 2000 when he ran and just left immediately?
It's political
As, like,
experience.
Shut the fuck up. That's not him being in office, bro. It's just him running. That was so cringe.
Well, you really never answered the question on
I did, but you never answered the question. What was your
Which
answer?
question?
What question
For
did I
which
ask
question?
you? Do you even know?
no.
Do you know what we were talking about in general?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, what were Donald Trump's qualifications in 2016, right?
Okay.
Because you said he was more qualified than Hillary Clinton. So what were his qualifications for president?
You want me to be straight up honest with you?
Yeah.
Is crazy. You know this is gonna piss you off, Parker. Him simply being a man. Him simply being a man and Hillary Clinton being a woman. And America is never going to elect a woman because of how many men, right? Of how many men would not because of their ego, vote for a woman.
Have you ever watched Freaky Friday?
Freaky Friday? No, I don't think so.
It's like this idea where like they swap bodies and like the mom, I think it was the mom and the daughter, right? Swap bodies and they're in each other's bodies for like a day. If that happened with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, who would you vote for? Would you vote for Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's body or Kamala Harris and Donald Trump's body?
That would never happen, Parker. Wow.
I understand, but like it's a hypothetical. Like in this specific circumstance, if we
Man,
like
I
lived
can
in a
ask
Rick and
you
Morty
plenty of
universe, it
hypothetical
was
questions.
Kamala Harris in Donald Trump's body or Donald Trump in Kamala Harris's body. Who would you support?
Well, who would you have supported?
I would support Kamala Harris in Donald Trump's body.
Kamala Harris. Nah, I would say
So
I would
who would you support?
Donald Trump in Kamala Harris's body.
Okay, so then you would vote for a woman.
It's a man in a woman's body.
So you'd vote for a woman? Because you
I mean, I
you
guess
base
if you're-
you base gender on biology, right? So you'd vote for a woman under your view.
I mean, if some Freaky Friday shit happened, yeah, I guess. But I don't ever see that happening. I don't think that would ever happen. So
Okay, but like so again, but the point is then that it's not about them being a woman that matters at all. So it's actually specifically
no.
Because if Donald Trump were a woman, you'd still support him.
But that's Donald Trump inside of a woman's body, like you're saying. It
Yeah,
is
well,
the
again,
mind-
which is
it
the
mind-
basic. And again, you
it
say that
the
gender is
mind
wait,
of a
wait,
man,
wait.
the voice of a man, the thought process
Oh,
of a man.
wait.
Like you're
Are
saying,
you saying that? Are you saying that someone's gender is based on their mind and not their biology outside of that?
if it is a man in a woman's body, I mean, it has the thought process of a man, right? It is literally a man. I've never watched Freaky Friday, so I have no.
Oh! Dude, it's like he got it. Oh my god. Holy shit. Oh my, are you saying gender is in the mind? Are you saying gender is a mental state? Is that what
I've
commitments
never
towards
in
certain
my
types of
life-
norms? Is that what you're saying it is?
never-
Are you saying it's not based in the biology? In this context?
Some Freaky Friday shit, apparently. That's what you called it. I've never watched it. I've never even heard of it. So,
Accidentally goes progressive? What? He doesn't even realize. Unintentional progressivism. Look at this. He's an ally
Once
and he
again.
doesn't even know it.
once again, though, I would 100% say I don't think that America will ever elect a woman as president.
Okay, come on. That's ridiculous, right? Now, in terms of this,
I mean,
like
Parker, we just
again,
seen
under the perspective that I provided you, you said you would vote for a woman if Donald Trump were in Kamala Harris's body because you consider, all right, again, gender to be biological, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So Donald Trump in Kamala Harris's body would be a woman, right?
Would that ever happen?
No, I'm just
I
doing.
mean-
It's a hypothetical, bro. So Donald Trump in Kamala Harris's body, under your view, would be a woman.
Donald Trump's mind
And you would vote for a woman in that scenario because you would think that she's the better candidate, right?
If that's what you want to call it, sure.
What do you mean? No. That's your definition. Actually, I would still think that he's a man. That's my view. He's still a man.
Okay.
Right? But under your view, right? Your view is that, that she is a woman under your view.
Okay. I mean, apparently, we're apparently swapping minds and bodies here.
Yeah,
so.
you can't engage with the Freaky Friday analogy. You should watch the movie, bro. Just so you understand the hypothetical.
I might just watch it for you, Parker. I might just watch it.
Just so that you understand the hypothetical. I think it's actually like an incredible hypothetical for describing specifically how we view gender, especially.
Okay.
So that was like also like a unique thing that I was adding on top, right? Also to this, but like it also demonstrates this, right? It's not just referencing gender here. Like that's just what your views are. Your views is that, or would be that he in this context would be a woman, or Donald Trump, if he were in Kamala Harris's body, and you would vote for Donald Trump in Kamala Harris's body. So then it's not about her being a woman that matters, Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton. So that's not a qualification for presidency under your view, clearly. Cat Lady, thank you for the 28 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Also, yeah, please give me any information more on that. I would always appreciate it, as always. Tori, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you so much. If there's any extra stuff that you found, Cat Lady. But thank you so much.
May I ask your thought on this whole bombing of Iran, or however you want me to say it? I'm sure you're going to... Yeah, sure. Iran, sure.
Yeah,
So-
Iran. So I think that it, honestly, like, to be genuinely honest from your perspective, that's Donald Trump selling out his base.
I think that
You know, because like he ran on like, oh, I'm bringing world peace, I'm anti-war, and he ran away from that. That you should feel like he just fucked you over.
when
That's
you're
what you should
chanting
feel
death
like.
to America, when you're chanting death to America.
Oh,
and
look
you
at this.
possess-
Oh, he's a cultist. Look at him. Look at him go.
When you
you are a
possess
good. You are a
nuclear
good dog. You are a good dog.
weapon- I hope, since I'm here with you. But
No, that's.
When
I
you
was
put-
talking about in relation to Donald Trump. You're Trump's
okay.
pet.
So when you possess a nuclear weapon and you're chanting death to America, I 100% think that it was necessary before they did it to us, or something bad happened with them building nuclear. We just set them back 20 years doing that. So and they are 100% not going to retaliate. We are a much stronger military,
Then why have they said that they're going to retaliate? And they've already had it planned.
Because it's Iran.
Iran.
Okay, sure. Iran. They have nowhere near the military power and force that they have. They would not touch us. We would blow them off the face of this earth if they even thought about it.
You sound like the neocons that were arguing that we should go into the Middle East because they have quote unquote weapons of mass destruction. That's exactly you right now. That's you. Exactly. If you were teleported back in time, you know what arguments you'd be providing on the live right now?
What?
Bush should invade Iraq. They have weapons of mass destruction.
Well,
That would be you. Seriously, that would be you.
That is a government of crazy people who threatened the United States, and I 100% think that it was necessary.
Oh, so you support the war in Iraq?
I don't support us. I don't support the fact that it is a war. I support the fact that we bombed them to prevent a war. because
You're talking about
them
Iran.
possessing
You're talking
them
about Iran. I'm talking about Iraq. Do you support Donald Trump or not Donald Trump? Do you support the war in Iraq?
the war in Iraq. We were talking about Iran. So
I
why are we
understand.
going to Iraq?
Yeah, and I was talking about the same motivations they used, right, to justify, right, the war in Iraq is the same set of justifications they're using now for the war in Iran. Like,
So
and you're
Parker-
buying it, and you're buying it after
So Parker-
Donald Trump even said that it was lies.
Okay. Well, Parker, thanks for having me, man.
Oh,
I just wanted to ask you that quick question, and it quickly escalated. Once again, though, I lean more right, but I would definitely vote left under the right Democrat. So,
that's
But I think
ridiculous.
that
Kamala
party
Harris
would
was clearly better than Donald Trump, and it's not even close. If you would vote for anyone on the left, like especially Bernie Sanders, then you should have supported Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. One, Bernie Sanders, who did he say to support?
who did what? Oh, well, Kamala.
Okay, why didn't you accept his recommendation if you support him over Trump?
The Democratic Party fucked Bernie Sanders hard in 2016.
Cool, man. Like I get it. I understand.
Would you agree
hold
with
on,
that?
hold
Would
on.
you agree with that?
Hey, hold on. I get it. I agree. I actually do think that the Democratic Party fucked him over.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. That doesn't justify your position, bro.
Would you agree that that party is in shambles?
Dude, Bernie himself was the one who got fucked over, and he still supports Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. Ayana, thank you so much for the subscription. Thank you so much. Hollyberry, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Hollyberry. It's nice to see you here. Spider, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Brianna, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yes, literally though. And then Kalaya, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $5. Thank you. I just had my mom spewing the same talking points. You and Dean keep me sane. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Got you. We always got you with new args. Go for it. You were saying? Or actually, wait, no. I have Dillian. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the $10. Devin with the $5. Thank you. Ashley, thank you so much for the $5. Megan with the $2, and then Riz, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $10. Thank you. Thank you. All right, go for it. You were saying?
The Democratic Party needs a fresh start.
Okay. And what's your point with that?
They have
Why don't you
all the
accept that?
potential-
Why don't you accept Bernie's recommendation of Kamala Harris over Donald Trump?
Like I said, the Democratic Party. Okay, you know what? No. Sorry. I was just talking about this today with a friend. I want to completely bring this up to you. Parker, do you think that in 2011 we killed Osama bin Laden? Because I don't. I was talking about this with a friend. I want to bring this up before I hop off here. So, do you think that
Did you know the person that did unalive Osama bin Laden literally said that I am his quote unquote sex slave on Twitter, and it went viral?
Answer the question.
So, like, yes, absolutely, Osama bin Laden is dead.
Why didn't we bring back the body?
What?
Why didn't we bring back the body? If you hired me to kill Charlie Kirk, you would want that body, right? You would want to see that he is dead. You paid me, we'll say, $1 million.
Don't do this. This is really weird.
Okay. So once again, why did we not bring Laden's body back?
Okay.
Why would we dump
Are
it
you
in-
are you saying Osama bin Laden's not dead? He's still alive.
Probably
just
now.
because we don't.
Probably now. But I don't think that we killed him. Then why would we not bring his body back? Why would we dump it in the ocean on the way back, like we did?
I mean, I'm not really familiar specifically with why they would do that
Wow.
rather than doing other things. I'm actually not quite sure myself, but that doesn't justify that, like, you know, that there aren't legitimate reports on like what happened with the body.
No. It really does. I want to understand. Okay, if you think that we killed him, Why were we on the way back with him and dump him into the ocean and he was never found in that ocean?
Okay, so again, so you're saying just because there's not a body means that they specifically are definitely still alive. So then you totally believe Hitler was still alive.
I never said that.
You do believe it though, right?
That he was still alive in what, 45?
Oh, he's totally convinced. He's totally convinced that Hitler was still alive. He lived on Argentina. Right? What are your what's your lore on it? Please let me know. What are your conspiracy theories? Let's hear it.
That he shot himself.
We don't have his body.
Okay. He shot himself. We didn't shoot him. We shot.
Dude, this guy's a joke, dude. Dude,
we
are you
shot
serious?
Laden.
Are you serious, dude?
We shot Osama bin Laden. Hitler shot Hitler.
What the fuck does that matter? What? Wasn't your issue like whether or not we had the body? This guy's a joke, bro. Like, should I even continue this chat? This is ridiculous, dude. This is actually a clown show. Thank you for the greeting heart. Thank you so much. This is a clown show. Come on, bro. All right, let's go on to the next person, everybody. You're ridiculous, dude. Do you have any last words?
I respect.
Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hello.
How old are you?
Oh, I'm 40.
Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Okay, like if you could go back in time, would you still vote for him?
Well, I would like to say nobody in this world is 100% perfect all the time, right? For that, I would say if he makes mistake like all of us, we give him a chance. It doesn't mean that if he did one thing wrong now, the next thing he does is going to be wrong. So I support him because I'm conservative and I believe in their policies, though not 100% again, because there are some things that they do that I don't like. Yes, so I support Trump.
Okay. All right. Well, then here's my question.
Yeah.
Can you name a policy of his that you like?
I think it has to do with I was a little bit particular about this. Male in female sports. I think that particularly hits different for me. And that's something of passion to me because I believe that men biologically are different from women. That's a key thing for me. Again, I say for me because we are all different in how we see these things. And I don't want to say another person is wrong. That's just my view.
So sure, there are biological differences after multiple years of HRT, right, and or not going through like a male puberty. It is the case that there's not these unfair biological advantages that we could point to. Actually, like there's even recent studies that indicate that for even trans people on average, it is the case that they might perform worse in some of the sports that we're referencing comparative to cisgender women. I have a source that I could provide for that as well. There's new recent data just indicating that from I think 2024.
Well, I think I believe in what you say. I've watched your show. I think you are quite really trying to be fair and just, and you address people respectfully. So again, that's why I say it's different the way people see it. But when I see a man and I see a woman and I see a man who was a woman before, I just find it hard to believe that they are the same. I really find it hard because a simple question I will ask is, and I don't know if you can answer this.
Can I actually ask you this question here?
Go ahead.
If it is the case that like I swapped bodies with my girlfriend, would I still be a man in my girlfriend's body?
Yes, you're still a man.
Okay. So the biology that I had or that I have in my girlfriend's body is not representative of what my gender is? Are you saying my gender is independent of my biology?
Well, I think that question confuses me. But one thing I know is that there are only two genders, male and female, that we cannot change. We may try, but we cannot change it. If you take a little girl or a 10-year-old who was born female, and you take a 10-year-old who was born male and is now female, they are not the same.
Okay, hold up. So, sure, you can identify differences as you can identify differences in tall men versus short men, right? There are differences with trans men and cis men, but they're both still men, right? For example, like, and again, the point that I'm trying to describe to you is that the way that we're viewing gender here is based upon like your brain, your mind and your subjective experiences, internal commitments towards certain norms that we'd associate with a sex as a prescription of identity. And that's why, like, I think in the example where like if you would swap my consciousness with my girlfriend's and I'm in my girlfriend's body, we would still call me a man, right? Even though I would be in, right, the like even though in that sense I would be biologically female. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's why I believe that even if you change and take all kind of hormones, you are still a man, or you are still a female.
Wait, so
if you
no,
are
no, but
not-
you don't base. So you would say that so trans men are biologically female, right? But we still say that they're men because again, the way that we're referencing gender in this context is related to like where their commitments are associated with. The same way that we were referencing in the scenario where my brain, right, is put in, like my consciousness is put into my girlfriend's body, I'm still a man. It's because of those commitments that I have towards the cultural norms that are associated with the male sex as a prescription of identity. That's the reason why I'm still a man, even though I'm in, even though in that scenario I had female anatomy. Does that make sense?
I think, yeah, I try to understand you, but for me to be able to answer, I don't want to get confused. I think get a little confused there. I believe, bottom line, you are born male or female, and even if you change it, it doesn't change. You're still male or you're still female. However you were born.
Sure. Actually, because you're referencing biology, right? We're not saying that you can change the biology within that respect. That's not the claim that we're making here, right? The claim we're making specifically is that the mind, in terms of who we are as a person, right? In terms of what our gender is different from biologically what's represented. Does that make sense? Like in the same way that
what
like,
you think? Like
that?
if I think I'm male, even if I'm female.
No, it's not that like you think you're like a certain sex. It's that
Okay.
like someone who's biologically female is a man, right? Or someone who's biologically biologically male is a woman, right? And again, it's the same scenario where I brought up that where like if you swap me and my girlfriend's bodies, right, like our consciousness in our bodies, right, I would be like my body, I'm biologically female in that scenario, and yet I'm still a man. So like at least you agree that concept can exist, right? That like
Yes,
the
you're
mind
still a man, even if you
and the
change
body
bodies.
could be separated, if that makes sense. And that like we would take what the mind indicates, and we wouldn't say in that scenario that if my girlfriend and I swap bodies that I had some sort of mental problem or anything. That we would never say that. We would
No, I would
acknowledge
say
the
it's a
mind.
mental problem. I think it's a choice. People just choose. Again, everybody has a right to choose what they want to be and believe what they believe. But I mean, you asked me what was the key thing with
Before you do, I
think
actually
that was
don't
it.
mean to cut you off. I just wanted to say this one thing. I don't think that we choose to be either cis or trans. Like, I don't think people choose to have that desire. We might choose to represent ourselves, right, to other people in a certain way, right, or choose to portray ourselves in a certain way. But that doesn't change whether or not we like are trans or cis. Like, I never chose one day to be cis, right, to not be trans. And I don't think the same thing is true for people who are trans. I don't think that just like one day they just like decide to be trans or they make that choice. I think that's just who they are as a person. I don't think they made that choice. And oftentimes we would say if it is possible to make a choice, well then plenty of trans people would have made the choice to not be trans. And that's not something that they can do.
Oh, okay. I mean, if we have it like that, would it not be fair if I'm just trying to look for a fair ground here because I have friends both ways, right? And we get along just fine. But to be fair, would it not be nice if we just have sports activities, just like we have for people who are physically disabled? would it not be fair for us to have sports like that? Because this thing is dragging us too much back and forth. If we have a certain category for people who are trans or one way or the other, just they compete amongst themselves, would that not be a good thing? I was just thinking, to end all these troubles about who is doing the right thing, why can't we just create their own?
I do think that trans men would dominate against trans women, but and I don't think it would be fair for trans women in that scenario. So like the point is that if we care about fairness, I would say that like trans women playing in women's sports, in terms of like the identifiable characteristics that I'm referencing after multiple years of HRT and are not going through a male puberty, they wouldn't affect fairness. And like in practically every scenario where trans people are playing, there are fairness considerations that people are taking in like talking about. Right, you know, a bunch of if you talk to anyone who's a trans athlete, that's constantly something that they are talking about, or they're going over, you know, or they have to deal with within their communities, are these like considerations of fairness. So I just don't see that to be like a thing that like trans people are harming in terms of fairness. Also, like if we look at like the statistics in terms of how many people within sports are trans, it's like incredibly low in terms of the percentage points. We're talking, right, like 0.001%.
Okay, so the fairness will come in the fact that, for instance, if I'm trans female, I will be in the trans female category, and those who are trans male will be in the trans male category. So it's not like we're mixing them up. We'll still have the same, we place them like male, female, just how they identify, just like we have today. I honestly think, because why is it that we have a lot of trans male doing well in the female sport, and we don't have a lot of trans female doing well in the male sport? You know, I just think it's not balanced. Well, that's just my opinion. Again, we're talking about why I was more.
Can you name a single trans woman that is dominating in women's sports?
Oh, I don't know. I just read these things, but I don't take note of it.
So then
there was
here
swimmer.
would be my
There was
point.
a swimmer. No, there was a swimmer. I don't remember their name. Is that somewhere in Pennsylvania? But I read about a swimmer. I'm not very sure. But there's a swimmer somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Let me.
I've heard about it. I think there was a school in Pennsylvania. Was it a state championship? It was a swimmer.
I don't know who you're referencing.
Yeah, it's a
they're
swimmer.
like who I would originally think about.
I think
would
it's like
be
Leah.
not from Pennsylvania.
Leah, somebody like that. Leah, L-I-A.
So Leah Thomas.
Maybe that's the name, but I know that was like Leah.
Yeah, she's from
That's a
Austin,
swimmer.
Texas. Yeah, and
Okay, sorry.
by the
I
way,
thought
when she was playing in men's leagues, she outperformed how she's playing in women's leagues.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that was the one I read about several times, so that's what comes to mind.
And so like the point is that in terms of Leah Thomas, there aren't like these particular standards you're going to be able to place to say that like it's so unfair that she shouldn't be allowed to play. It's not like she's dominating in swimming even.
But if we had the
it's not like she's winning first place every single time, like not even close to that.
But if we had trans category, she will be there, and the women will be left alone.
Right?
The women will be left in their category.
I'm sorry. I don't think we have enough trans athletes in general to even have a
category
specific
like that. Okay.
specific league of just trans people. One.
Okay.
Two, I think that's incredibly harmful to like in otherizing two trans people to say that they need to be separated from sports entirely. Right? Like
Well,
I think that's
that
pretty.
was we started by talking about my conservative view, or one reason why I would support Trump, right? That was
because there are here, hold up, because like I'll give you an example. Trans women in which don't possess unfair biological advantages, would you say should they be allowed to play?
No. If you're trans, you shouldn't be in female sports.
Okay. So regardless of the level of fairness, you're saying that they should be restricted. So it's
They're
not
not
about
restricted.
so your
They should
considerations
have
are not
their
about
own
fairness. Your
No,
considerations
they
are
should
not
have
about
their
fairness.
own league. Maybe, like you said, there's not enough.
But that's
to
not about
create
why.
the league,
Why should they have their own league?
because they are not they were not created. They were not born like that. They shouldn't be with people who were born like that.
Why?
Because they were not born like that. That's just a simple
But why?
reason.
But why?
Because they were not born like that. It's not natural.
What do you mean natural? I don't think sports are natural in general. They're created by human beings.
We have inbuilt things that we come with in the world, talents that sometimes just need to be harnessed. Again, this is my view. It could be totally wrong, but this is what I talk with my trans friends, and we joke about it, get serious about it, but they're still my friends. We still get along. They don't throw me out, I don't throw them out. So that was just my view.
I'm confused what your point is here. So your considerations seemingly are not based in fairness. Also, I just want to make this point. Like, in voting for and supporting Donald Trump, you have no other considerations other than like.
No, you asked me one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Parker,
Do you have any?
one,
Do you have
right?
any other reasons you would say? Because I don't think that your reasoning here is justified at all. Because you originally were saying it was fairness, and now it's seemingly not fairness.
Well, again, it can be relative. Fairness can be relative. So,
Rodney, thank you for the $20 on YouTube super chat. Thank you so much. I know, literally, you know that there are more sexual assault allegations from different women towards Donald Trump, like sexual misconduct allegations against Donald Trump from different women, comparative to trans athletes within the NCAA.
those can be politically motivated. Sometimes when you hear about allegations, I'm very slow to want to believe everything is from the media, right? We don't know who is saying the truth. If it depends on which station you listen to, which network.
Okay, to clarify,
So it gets challenging.
if someone like alleged that Donald Trump sexually abused them and then went through a civil court and a jury determined that they were sexually abused by Donald Trump, would you then like accept that he sexually assaulted them?
I will want to read the facts for myself. Why? Because we've had jury give a verdict as somebody is guilty, and the other verdict is overturned 6 years after, when more evidence comes and we realize that person was not guilty. Again, these things can be very, very
Why do you need
hard
so
to
much
decide
evidence specifically to say that Donald Trump would be guilty even when a civil court's determined this?
Because
But
in
apparently you
politics,
don't need any. Apparently you don't require any evidence when talking about restricting trans people from playing in sports. Apparently you don't need evidence for supporting Donald Trump in any of his policies. Apparently you don't even need a policy specifically to mention.
Well, this is an accusation, right? So to really say somebody is guilty, you got to be careful. Else, like we've seen before, people have been sent to
Wait,
jail.
so you think he deserves due process, right?
Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah, like every other human, due process.
Well, based upon like the reasoning provided by like conservatives, if you commit an action that does not involve due process, right? Well, then you specifically should not get due process yourself. So then like Donald Trump shouldn't get due process, not only because he's undermined due process for other individuals, but because we can attribute specific acts of harm that Donald Trump has committed towards others. Right? Like him being held civilly liable of sexual abuse, or bragging about walking into the changing rooms of girls in Miss USA because he quote unquote owns the place to inspect them without their consent, where there was an 18-year-old that was 18 at the time that came out and said that there was 4 girls as young as 15 years old in these changing rooms that were changing when Donald Trump would barge in. Right? He also said he would date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years as a 50-year-old man. Right?
Again, all of that is hearsay, and I'm not saying it's false, it's hearsay.
I can play the audio.
Those
It's not
things
hearsay. It's not hearsay.
These-
I can play the audio on the stream right now. Would you like me to?
No, thank you. Thank you. I don't think we should get to that level, but I enjoy your show nevertheless. Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. Oh, were you leaving? Or like were you continuing the conversation? I'm confused.
No, fine. If you want to have me, why not? I was just thinking, I saw like 52 people requesting, and I was like, oh my goodness. A lot of people are requesting, so why not?
It's up to you. It's up to you. I mean, I think we could still go over this. I genuinely I think that this should be convincing to you. Like I can play the audio to you on the stream of him saying these horrible things. It's not like just an accusation that I'm making or even an allegation. Per standard. And even with the civil court case, like that went through the context of our civil processes, right? That went through a jury. Like it's not just like an allegation. Even I'm not even just mentioning. If I just wanted to mention allegations, I could reference specifically the fact that there's an allegation of Donald Trump essaying Katie Johnson, right? That was specifically only removed from her applying the charge because Maga came after her, and she was a child, right? And it specifically related to him and Epstein. If we were going to specifically relate to just allegations, right? I'm referencing the fact that he was held civilly liable, right? of sexually abusing someone, right? Unanimously amongst a jury of 9 people. And I'm also referencing like him on a Howard Stern show saying that he walks into the changing rooms of people without their consent. And then I can also mention an 18-year-old that came out and said there were 4 girls as young as 15 years old. Actually, I genuinely.
When did this thing happen? How old was he when this happened? Like walking into the female, restroom when they were
This is him in the 90s and 2000s.
Oh, okay. Like, I assume it was like 50 something.
Listen to this real quick.
My daughter is beautiful, Ivanka.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
He said yeah to that, by the way. But here, let me go to the part where he says this.
The question is, how can it...
With vagina. And
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now, tell me
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Oh, Parker. Well,
Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because I don't know about boys, but I have brothers, right? Boys sit and chat. But I don't understand how that is relevant to his behavior. Those were a group of boys chatting.
I'm sorry. I'm a guy. I'm a dude. I have conversations with my guy friends. Never have my conversations looked like that. That's fucking disgusting and abhorrent behavior. And to say that just because guys do that, it's okay for them to do it is insane. There are plenty of things throughout history that guys have done that have been horrible, disgusting things.
I didn't say it was okay. What I'm saying is that they probably were having their conversation. That doesn't make it right. But for us to bring the conversation that they were having, maybe in confidence, just joking amongst themselves, and we bring it out to be this huge evidence against him.
Yes, he's admitting to walking into the changing rooms of people without their consent, and then we have corresponding evidence on top of that of an 18-year-old that was at one of these events, at one of these Miss Teen USA events, where Donald Trump would barge in, where he said there was 4 girls, or she said there was 4 girls as young as 15 years old that were at these events where Donald Trump would barge into these changing rooms while they were changing without their consent.
Well, I don't think anybody can answer that.
I know, right? Because it's abhorrent behavior and it's nothing that you should stand behind. And I know that you have an intuition against that. I know that when I'm saying this to you right now, you're like, that's bad. I can't defend that. And that's what should tell you that you shouldn't support him.
I don't say it's right. The fact that I said boys could have conversation, that doesn't make it right at all. But when there's a court case, everything comes up and everything can become such a big thing. But that doesn't make it right. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So then, like, would this be what's something Donald Trump could do that would get you to not support him?
War. Yes, war. I have friends in the military. War. No matter who comes out victorious at the end of the day, war is not a good thing. It should always be the last resort. After everything else and people are in grave danger, then we can say, okay, now. But when I see what's going on, and I don't have any intelligence report, but when we look at what has been going on, these people have been accused for so many years and nothing has happened. Then we have the issue of Iraq. When we found out later, there was no evidence. Why can't we be just a little bit more careful and not just jump into war? That's my concern.
Wait, did you just make a point like, yeah, we shouldn't be going into Middle East, like wars in the Middle East, right? Because of the claims of weapons of mass destruction?
That's my concern, because I tell you what, America is very wealthy. If you calculate how much money is spent on wars, bring that back home I'm telling you, no country in this world will be able to meet America. Healthcare will be superb. The roads, the people will be taking our veterans. Our veterans. I've heard veterans cry and weep how much they spend on themselves after service. So that's what, and let's look at China today. I think we are giving China an opportunity. Has China ever been involved
Before
in
we do,
war?
I just want to clarify to you. Have you seen what's just happened recently in the media? Where Donald Trump has literally authorized like bombs to be dropped on Iran, on nuclear enrichment facilities within Iran, because he claims they have weapons of mass destruction, i.e. nuclear weapons that they're developing, and that we have to limit that from happening. And since that's happened, there's going to be responses from Iran. Iran's going to respond, and we're at war.
Yeah, I was
So,
saying that.
given that he's done this, would you say that you don't support him? Because it's literally exactly what you were just saying you wouldn't support.
I think we are not there yet. According to what the media said, I don't know if this is true. This is a one-time thing that they're not going to continue.
Okay, so you think that? Wait, I'm sorry. I'm just going to clarify. If Iran or Russia bombed nuclear enrichment facilities within the United States, do you think that we would respond?
Oh, sure. America will respond. Why not?
So why the hell would Iran not respond?
As I heard, they said this was a one-time thing. And me and you could be talking. They could be working something out behind the scenes. We never know what they are working out behind the scenes. For the sake of
I'm sorry. That's like saying Japan engaging in Pearl Harbor was just a one-time thing.
Yeah, I know. I thought about Pearl Harbor. That's how America was dragged into the war.
Yes.
Again, we don't have troops there, and I'm hoping that if we don't even get to that stage,
we do have troops in the Middle East.
Continue.
We have troops in the Middle East that Iran is going to then target. So U.S. service members will likely die. And that's going to lead to a broader, longer conflict that we're involved in because Donald Trump decided to do this. Because he pulled us out of the nuclear peace agreement, specifically that indicated that Iran gave up their nuclear weapons, right? Everything that they were, they didn't have nuclear weapons. They gave up their the uranium that they were enriching, right? And they didn't have it anymore. And they let us have like 24/7 oversight over their nuclear facilities. So like we had unprecedented access to their nuclear facilities and understanding that they weren't developing nuclear weapons. And Donald Trump pulled us out of that agreement so to then put us in the position where he then says that they have weapons of mass destruction in the country. This is the same justification they provided for the war in Iraq.
That's my concern. That's my concern that, the best experts should look into this and make sure we are not making the same mistake. Again, the amount of money that is spent on wars, if that is brought home, our vets will be taken care of. Healthcare, which is a major concern, will be taken care of. America will be up there because there's so much wealth.
I totally agree with you. I just don't think that Donald Trump does this. I think the only people that actually will do that are going to be progressives like me that are advocating for an actual anti-war platform and to bring that money here back at home. The only type of setting we should ever, send money abroad is for humanitarian concerns, right? And for defensive conditions in terms of allies that we have, right? In which it makes sense to be allies with. For example, with Ukraine, I think it makes sense, right, to defend Ukraine. And I would support that because I don't want Russia to have so much power within the region that they could then use to invade, some of our other allies.
Okay. I don't know much about the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. I was just concerned about the Middle East. I just feel like we have made a lot of mistakes and we continue to make those mistakes. I think we should hold back, look into it more carefully, and there's an amount of money going out there that can be brought back home. That's my concern. Our servicemen, their lives at risk, their families are not resting, It's just stressful. I have a friend who is pregnant right now and the husband is out there. It's stressful. So that's my concern. War. If only we can stop the wars. I think we'll be better off.
I would say that Donald Trump is going to put us more likely at war.
We still have time to do something. We still have time. All hopes are not lost yet.
I mean, all hope isn't lost in general in terms of everything, but Donald Trump, we shouldn't support him. All hope is lost in Donald Trump, if that makes sense. But all hope is not lost for the country, because we can acknowledge that Donald Trump is a bad person and we can get someone else in office. We can impeach this guy. We can get him out of there. That's possible. But in order for us to be able to do that,
it's a very strong word,
hold on
because
one
it's
second.
our president right now.
Yes, but he should be
We
impeached.
may not like
should
him. We may not have voted for him. But he's our
he was
president.
impeached for less. He literally was impeached for less.
Yeah, but we still have to give him the respect as the president right now, and work with him to see how we can stop the USA from getting into that war fully, 100%. We can do something. I believe so, because there's a lot of talk about it. If we join forces, we can bring reason to the table.
Here's what it is. We need to throw away people like Donald Trump in order to be able to do that. In order for us to be able to come together as a country, we have to get rid of people like Donald Trump from the political sphere of things in general. In order for us to be able to actually have compromise, that's what we have to do. We can't compromise with insane lunatics like Donald Trump. I'm serious. Like, we have to acknowledge he's a horrible person. I used to be a Trump supporter, right? In his first term, right, I supported him when I was in like high school. Okay? But I can acknowledge now that he's a horrible person, and that everything that he originally ran on, he has contradicted and gone against. The idea that he'd be anti-war, completely gone against that. The draining of the swamp, did not do that at all. He is the swamp, right? Like, he didn't repeal and replace the ACA. He didn't build the wall. He didn't do practically anything he said he was going to do that was meaningful. He didn't get the infrastructure bill that was Biden. So it's like, what meaningfully did he do?
Well, me and you can sit out here and talk. The head that wears the crown is never easy. Now, you may talk about this on this, but there are certain things that we don't know about that's happening out there. The pressure, the advisors, what they are telling him, the evidences that they are showing him or they are not showing him. There's a lot of things that could be going on. And now, again, I'm worried about the advisors. What are they telling him? What are they showing him? What are they hiding from him? People may have their own other agendas. And at the end of the day, he's going to take the blame as the head. So I think that we should give him the chance and work with him to see how this thing can be resolved peacefully. But we should not go to war. That's the concern. America is fighting wars.
That's what Donald Trump did, though. He undermined
if they focus at home,
he undermined peaceful diplomatic relations, and he then put us in a situation where he then could go to war, right? That's what he's done. So he's contradicted that. And you said that you wouldn't support him if he did war. Given that Iran's going to respond, when they do, will you then say that you don't support him?
I will not rule him out for one thing I don't like. It has to be a series of things that's going to get us in real trouble. Because again, like I said, all is not lost as far as this war is concerned. I don't think we are going in. They may have stroke, but that could be it. Hopefully, we don't get in there. I'm praying for that. I'm really praying for that. Again, Trump is only human, like any one of us. He could make mistakes, but he can pick up and say, okay, what I did last week was wrong. Moving forward, this is how it's going to be. And we all will rejoice. Let's give him the chance like I will give any other person, even if I didn't vote for them. It's never going to be 100% perfect. We will never have a president that the whole nation is going to love 100%, but we can work together. My main concern is that America is spending too much money abroad that needs to be brought back home. That's my concern.
And that's what Donald Trump's doing. But
I think that's a big concern. There's just so much money spent abroad for things that really do not benefit the common man on the streets.
I mean, that's literally applicable to Donald Trump. But is there anything else you'd like to talk about or add before I go into the next person here?
No, I'm just saying thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to follow you. I've just been listening once in a while. I just come and stay down there, but I requested today. And it has been great. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you coming up. Appreciate you coming up. Let's go on to the next person, everybody. Only send a guest request if you do support Donald Trump. We are just looking for some debates, everybody. Please, everybody, only send a guest request if you do support Donald Trump. We are just looking for some debates. We are just looking for some debates, everybody. Just looking for some dates. Let's get the next person up here. Please, everybody, only send a guest request if you do support Donald Trump. If you want to support me, everyone, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, link tree in the bio, as well as the description of the YouTube. As well, everybody, you can support me for free by either subscribing or following on TikTok. We've got over 2,000 new followers on TikTok today. That's sick as fuck. And also, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and like the stream. I think that we are pretty close to 2,000 likes on YouTube. We have 3,000 people in here. We should be able to get over that. Get up to 3K. David, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. Yo, what's up? Patrick, how old are you?
I am 27.
Do you support Trump?
I do.
And what's your you're 27. I don't think you're younger. So why do you support Trump?
I support him for many reasons. Well, I wouldn't say I completely support. I do support most of his decisions. However, I think he is the better of the two. So I am Republican. I do side with most of his policies and his agenda and his entire thing that happened yesterday. I totally support a whole lot about what you were talking about the last guest about.
So could you give me like a specific policy of his that you like?
Specific policies, policy on foreign affairs, his policy on tax cuts, his policy on inflation. I think that's the biggest
just
thing.
Name a specific policy. Just a singular
Specific policy. What is it? Trump, it's called Trump something. It's what he replaced Obamacare with, was it not? Trump. Well, I kind of want to touch on what you were talking about with what happened yesterday. Why do you not support that? I've heard a little bit of that from what I've been listening to.
So he didn't replace anything in terms of the ACA. The ACA never got taken down under his administration. He never replaced it with anything. He never even came up with a plan. He was asked about that, and he said, I've got concepts of a plan. 9 years into fucking running for president of the United States. It's laughable. He has no policy. He doesn't have shit. And then you said what happened. Do you want, actually? I'll let you address that, and then we'll go on to the thing that you said secondly. For stand-up.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just want to talk about what happened yesterday. I feel like that's what you've been talking about.
You don't want no address what I just said real quick before.
That he hasn't put anything into place. I think a lot of things are moving parts. You know, if things don't happen overnight. He's only been in office 6 months, so I'm not too scared that he hasn't put any policies in place. He's got another 4 years. So
you said that he did.
Well, I think that's his policy that he.
Because you couldn't mention a single policy, and the one fucking policy that you tried to mention isn't even something that he did. You just made it up. Because all he had was concepts of a plan. You didn't remember that?
Are you talking about which for Obamacare or is tax cuts?
Wait,
where are we at?
Repeat this.
So he has a policy for tax cuts. I do not know their names of them.
Okay, so let's reference them. There's the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and there's the Big Beautiful Bill. They're both ass.
I do believe it's the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. I'm not talking about the Big Beautiful Bill.
That's ass. You agree that's ass?
The Big Beautiful Bill, big deal. Say it's 50-50 as much as these politics are. But I would say that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Acts are I would support that.
TCJA is dog shit too. Okay. I can show you an estimate from a liberal and conservative economist that indicated that there was literally only $8 to $16 billion of GDP growth for $190 billion of debt-related spending per year. 1.9 trillion over 10 years.
Didn't it create over 1 million construction jobs?
No.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure the statistics.
Provide me any evidence that happened.
2.5. I think it's on the White House.
The White House archives are just claims from the president. Based on that same numbers, Biden's responsible for 15 million jobs from the White House archives. Do you accept that? Do you accept the 15 million jobs number from the Biden House?
I don't know the number
administration?
on it, but based on
because
that,
actually Trump net lost jobs if we look at his administration. If you just want to do correlations like they were doing.
Like jobs, if jobs are up under Biden, why is consumer spending so high? Why is the inflation so high?
Because people had jobs and had the ability to spend money.
So inflation. So if they have the ability to spend money and there's a lot of jobs, inflation's just allowed to go up to like 9%.
No, inflation. I mean that would be one aspect of it, but inflation went up specifically around the entirety of the globe. But yes, there was a strong market in terms of the demand. But yeah, global inflation happened because of supply chain issues.
Okay.
And then we already had
Wasn't one of your
we had
points
strong
on, like, what happened
demand from
yesterday and,
before.
like why war is bad? It's going to have inflation go up.
Yeah, the inflation is going to go up due to Donald Trump literally bombing Iran.
Okay. What's the inflation right now? Isn't it like 2-point-something%?
It's something like 2.5,
Like
2.2,
2.3. Yeah. Okay. But like,
that's what it was under
panic
Biden,
when
and you guys were like, "That's so fucking high."
Yeah, it was like 9%. It was 9% for like a year and a half.
No, it was not 9%
Consumer
for
spending was at
you're
like
wrong.
20%.
You're wrong. You're totally wrong. It was not 9% for a year and a half. You're just totally wrong. It was specifically it was 9% for like 1 or 2 months, right?
I mean, where was the panic then?
There was panic. Yeah,
was.
people attributed inflation to the incumbent president even when it wasn't caused by them. That inflation happened globally due to supply chain issues. Had nothing to do with the Biden-Harris administration, yet was attributed to the Biden-Harris administration.
Gotcha. Didn't he add the
what
American
caused
Rescue
inflation?
Plan Act too, and inflation went skyrocketed right
You're
after
attributing
that?
it to the American Rescue Plan. Did you know that Donald Trump signed off on more debt-related spending, 8.4 trillion overall, 4.8 trillion non-COVID related, comparative to the Biden-Harris administration, 4.3 trillion overall, 2.2 trillion non-COVID related? How the American Rescue Plan was part of the 2.1 trillion that was COVID related. Right?
Correct.
Yeah, so
And
that
it still
2.1 that
peaked
was
after
COVID
that.
related specifically,
It still peaked
that
after the
literally,
act.
wait, hold on, I just want to clarify. That literally is way smaller than the 8.4 trillion that Donald Trump influenced to get passed. And the 4.8 trillion non-COVID related debt spending.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, do you care about that? Oh, you don't give a shit about that debt-related spending? You don't care about that at
No,
all?
I think,
It's almost
like,
like
the
you
Biden
don't
administration
actually
had a lot
believe
of-
that debt-related spending is what caused inflation there. You're just saying it against Democrats as a gotcha moment when you have no fucking basis for it principally.
No basis. No.
Yeah, I just proved that.
So you're saying Trump has had more spending, and it's related to Trump. The inflation of 9% under Biden's term after COVID and after his American Rescue Plan Act is still Trump's fault.
Donald Trump's fault is
Based
because
off
he
of
signed
Donald
off on
Trump's
more
spending.
debt-related spending. If you consider the American Rescue Plan bad because it specifically added to the debt-related spending, well, then you must consider the greater level of debt-related spending caused by the Trump administration comparative to the Biden-Harris administration was worse on the Trump administration comparative to the Biden-Harris administration.
Wasn't the percentage
Dragon
the
Ball.
4 years that Biden was in office, the debt spending was much higher in
So then
percentage
let me explain why this
based
is.
off of any other president in history ever?
Yeah, so I'm talking about was signed into law from the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget. You're talking about deficits incurred under the administration. Although there were more deficits incurred under the Biden-Harris administration, that's because of pre-existing agreements set up under Donald Trump's presidency, like the Tax
Gotcha.
Cuts and Jobs Act.
Okay. So with these sanctions too, so you said you kept talking about how he backed out of this deal with Iran, the nuclear deal?
Iran, yes, the nuclear
Iran.
peace agreements.
Nuclear peace agreements. And you keep asking like why he did that. Like why would he do that? And you're blaming the entire thing on Donald Trump backing out of this deal and why we got into this place in the
Absolutely,
first place.
absolutely his
Okay.
fault.
And you think
Joelish,
us
thank you
backing
so much
out
for the
was
$20. Thank you so
waste.
much for keep owning these clowns. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And then Sid with the $50. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. For even though she didn't change her beliefs, that was still a really insightful conversation. I think convos like that are so beneficial to witness. Really appreciated how you handled that. Thank you so much, Sid. I really appreciate that. W's for Sid in the comment section right now. Thank you so much. W's for Sid. McKenna, thank you so much for the $20. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much, McKenna. And then Mary, thank you so much for the $20. Thank you. W's. Thank you. Go ahead. Continue.
So you were talking about spending and stuff like that with cost. So it's my understanding that a lot of these policies with the Iran nuclear deal that they were set to expire at a certain point as well. Am I wrong?
I would have to check back, but I'm pretty sure even if that is the case, that given that there were negotiations, they'd be open for that in the future. I'd have to check back that.
inspections that they were performing were supposed
I
to
mean, wait.
expire.
Why would you expire the deal quicker? Because there was an expiration date in the future. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, because we were wasting $100 billion on it. Why would we not?
No, we weren't.
Yes, we were. We were sending a whole lot of stuff to Iran worth tons of money.
No, we weren't. We didn't send anything to them.
So much. That is why he backed out of the deal, and then he tried to get it back in.
You're wrong. We unfroze their own accounts. We didn't give them our money.
And if he backed out in what was it, in his term, why did Biden not get back in his 4 years?
Repeat that?
Why was he unable to do so?
Because Donald Trump is the one that originally withdrew. They are the ones that got it under the... I want to let you know, the Obama-Biden administration were the original ones that got the deal done. Because Donald Trump already harmed the set of conditions, right? That's probably why. That doesn't... Wait, so you can't blame them for not getting it back after Donald Trump is the reason that we got out in the first place when they were the ones that originally set it up.
We're just done for. Biden couldn't attempt to get back into the deal. He didn't spend his 4 years trying to make a deal with Iran to get back into the nuclear deal.
I bet he would have tried specifically to do that, but it is the case that he wasn't able to do so. But just because he wasn't able to do so isn't actually just because he wasn't able to do so isn't actually reflective of him. It's reflective of how bad Donald Trump harmed the relations with Iran. There are a few things that he did specifically. He assassinated a top military general in Iran as well. We can talk about that outside of the context of the fact that he literally just recently bombed Iran. I mean, he's increasing global conflict like fucking insane, and you just won't acknowledge it.
Saying like him bombing Iran is a bad thing, and I don't agree with that. I most definitely do not agree that us bombing Iran was a bad thing. I totally support that we did that.
Because they have weapons of mass destruction. I promise you. I promise you, dude. They have
weapons.
Dude. I promise. They have weapons of mass destruction, dude.
Mm-hmm. And part of these deals that were set to expire under Biden and Obama's nuclear deal with Iran, they were supposed to start building ballistic missiles anyways. I mean, this was imminent that these nuclear weapons were supposed to happen. So why not back out? Because
so if you wanted a harsher deal, how come Trump couldn't get it done?
Trump, he gave him a 60-day deadline, and once that 60 days was up, guess what happened? Yesterday.
Oh, okay. So it is the case that Donald Trump couldn't get the deal done, and then he just thinks that he has to do this. So instead of specifically, so would you have preferred the nuclear peace agreement being in place comparative to going to war with Iran?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay, so Donald Trump pulling out of the deal is harmful on him. The Democrats would have done differently, as they did do differently.
Okay, yeah, what did they do differently?
Because they were the ones who got the deal done.
Yeah, but they couldn't get back in the last 4 years of Biden's administration.
That doesn't change. All I'm demonstrating is that they would have had a different response than Trump did. Najia, thank you for the $10. Thank you so much, Najia.
Nothing would have been done, and then we would have had Iran building nuclear weapons.
I'm sorry,
missiles.
Wait. You prefer us going to war with Iran?
Yes.
I have a question. If North Korea was going to develop nuclear weapons, right, and you had knowledge of that, would you go to war with North Korea to prevent that from happening?
Yes.
You would?
Yes.
So you support war with North Korea as well?
Yes.
So you're just a war hawk?
I would not.
What happened to the no new wars? What happened to the no new wars? What happened to that crowd?
So I don't think all war is bad. One, war is good for the better of two evils. Would I rather go to war with Iran and stop nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles be created to a threat to our democracy and our country than us bombing three locations?
Wait, how did Iran, unprovoked, right, specifically use any of the ballistic missiles against the United States?
They have not used it, but they were building these, and they have woken up. I mean,
so if they're not a threat to our security, why are we there?
How you're really going to say Iran's not a threat to our security when these leaders have publicly stated death to America?
Wait, them stating that doesn't mean that they have done anything to us.
So if you had a country in this world, let's say it's a neighboring country, it's Canada, is saying death to America.
Thank you so much. Canada's on our border.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm using them as an example. You love examples. So let's say it's Canada, and they are a threat to us. They're saying every day, death to America. We're not getting along. We're clashing. We're butting heads. You're going to be comfortable.
Have
with
they done
them
anything?
You're going to be comfortable.
Have they done anything?
I mean, are you going to answer the question? Would you be comfortable?
Wait. Has Canada done anything to us?
Other than threats? No.
Okay.
In this
no,
setting.
I'd be totally fine with that.
Be totally fine with that. Okay. I mean, like I said, I'd be totally fine with the nuclear plan as long as it wasn't costing us $100 billion. I mean, if you look into that plan, that was super costly for the United States, and that's most likely why Donald Trump backed out of it. And then they wanted to get back into it because they probably support supervising.
And by the way, let me clarify. So when I say I'm totally fine with that, I mean I wouldn't get involved in any conflict. I wouldn't start a conflict with them.
So exactly. You mean you kind of said that about like 5 minutes ago, where what would the Democrats have done differently? And they would have done nothing. And then you have a country who's building.
What do you mean they would have done nothing? By the way, my response isn't the same as what the Democrats would do in general.
Mm-hmm. What would the Democrats do in general?
I don't necessarily always know.
Right? Because
you said they would do nothing with what? With Iran? Wait. You said they would do nothing with Iran, essentially.
Yeah, I would assume
What's
so.
wrong with that? We shouldn't involve ourselves.
You have a threatening country in the world who has expressed disgust towards the United States and has said publicly,
I have a question. Should the United States be involved in funding Ukraine to defend Russia or from Russia? Oh, why?
Because we are not into that war. We have nothing to do with that war, and we do not need to be backing Ukraine. As far as Iran goes, it's not.
But like we should. You know what? We should not help Ukraine, who's being invaded by a foreign country that's one of our largest adversaries. You know what I mean? Which would give them more power within the region as well. Also with an agreement that we have specifically to like defend them if they gave up their nuclear weapons, which we signed with them, which now it's our turn to defend them. Alongside that, we should, instead of doing that, we should involve ourselves in the Middle East again because of a claim of weapons of mass destruction, right? And we should send a bunch of money to the Middle East and like men to die in the Middle East specifically because of this claimed weapons of mass destruction.
Yes.
On an offensive war for Israel.
It's not a defensive war for Israel.
It is an offensive war for Israel.
No, it's not. It is to protect.
Who attacked first? Who attacked first? Wait. Who attacked first?
Who attacked first?
Yeah.
I mean, it was Israel.
Israel engaged in a preemptive strike means that they offensively fucking hit the country, right? Mm-hmm. They started the conflict.
Okay. And I don't think that's the conflict we're fighting. We're fighting the nuclear weapons. I mean, that's why we targeted the 3 nuclear weapon facilities.
So why should we to clarify, why should we involve ourselves with Iran, right, in trying to limit Iran, but we shouldn't involve ourselves in trying to limit Russia?
Russia has not threatened the United States.
What?
Please cite me. Please cite it. I mean, go ahead. When recently has Putin or any of the Russian administration threatened the United States as of recently? In the last 8 years, please.
With Ukraine, dude.
Okay, yeah, they're threatening Ukraine. Are they?
No, they threatened us to not support Ukraine, dude.
Okay, correct. This is correct.
So you just proved yourself wrong.
They're not threatening the United States.
What? Who are they threatening?
So the conflict between us and Iran is different between a conflict between us and Russia. Russia has a war.
Who are they threatening? Can you tell me who are they threatening?
Russia is threatening the United States, but it's not threatening the United States with weapons.
You can't make this shit up, dude. You can't make it up. Oh my god, I can't do it, dude. SD, thank you so much for the 50 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, SD. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Give some W's for SD in the comment section right now. Dude, that was really embarrassing, bro. Come on.
Well, I just don't understand how you seriously back Iran having nuclear weapons and building ballistic missiles when they're actively threatening.
Actually, I don't back them getting a nuclear weapon. I just don't back the United States going to war to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon. I think that it should have done through peace negotiation. Well, it should have been that Donald Trump never pulled us out of the agreement in the very first place.
Okay, right. And now that he did, because we can't change the past, right? Why did Biden not get him in the first 4 years?
Well, I think that it is the case that he probably should have.
New policy?
That isn't. Wait, so are you really blaming? Right, the Democrats more for something that Donald Trump caused? Are you really doing that right now?
If you're saying the policy is good, where was the Democratic administration the last 4 years when they were trying to get Iran?
I've already answered this question. You've already asked this question. What was my answer?
You tell me.
So you didn't listen?
Go ahead. Talking about a lot of points here. What was your answer?
So you didn't listen to the conversation?
No, I'm listening. I'm active in this conversation. Am I not?
Ask the question one more time.
Okay. Ugh. Where was the Democratic administration in the last 4 years after Biden or during Biden's term trying to get Iran back into the deal? Why did they not attempt to do so? And if they did, why were they unsuccessful? And I would love to hear and say it's like, I feel like your answer is going to be because of Trump and him ruining the relations.
Oh my God, it's almost like I already said that.
Okay, no, but I don't think that's a good enough answer. I mean, everything's dealt by money. I mean, dude, they have also expressed that they wanted to be a part of it. Iran has.
Iran?
Iran.
Yeah, okay. They've expressed they want to be a part of a nuclear peace agreement.
They have. Yes, they have. I mean, why would they?
Do you think do you think they're still in that standpoint right now?
No.
Why?
Well, obviously because of what happened yesterday.
And who did that?
However, Iran isn't. They're not looking like.
Who did that?
First,
who did that?
I'm sorry. Who did what happened yesterday? The Trump administration. Absolutely. So, when this policy was
Kamala Harris will cause World War III. I'm trying to prevent World War III by voting for Donald Trump. I'm trying to promote world. I honestly think that the Democrats they would make us go to war more, and I think that under Trump's administration there was no new wars, zero, dude. He did not send us to any new wars, dude. I'm serious.
Right. So when this nuclear policy happened under Obama and Biden, it was supposed to be a peaceful nuclear program. It is now not turned peaceful and instead hostile. So why is that not a deal? I mean, we've already talked about, like I said, our neighboring countries, Canada, Mexico. If they had nuclear weapons, if they were threatening the United States, would you not be terrified? Would you not be like, okay, let's rid of these nuclear power plants? What would your ideology be behind that? How would you solve that?
Repeat that. Sorry, I was reading something.
Yeah, go ahead. So when this policy was signed by Obama and Biden, it was supposed to be a peaceful nuclear program, and it has since turned hostile.
How?
What do you mean how? I mean, it was a peaceful nuclear program to preserve nuclear energy and use it in such other ways, and now it's turned into a nuclear weapon program, building ballistic missiles.
And why did that happen?
I mean, I'm not part of the leaders of Iran here, so I couldn't tell you.
Donald Trump pulled out of the peace agreement.
So they just decided to turn their program hostile.
Yeah, literally.
Okay. But that doesn't terrify you that they're having a hostile nuclear program of a country that has actively been threatening the United States.
You know, what's really crazy? It does concern me, and you want to know why?
Absolutely.
Because it is the case that it was caused by our fucking president.
Backing out of the deal.
And I think that you shouldn't support the guy because the guy is harmful for conflict in the region.
So he backed out of a deal that was costing Americans too much money. I mean, that was the problem with
it didn't cost us anything.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't. What did it cost us?
Over $100 billion.
No. You're only talking about us unfreezing their own assets, not our money. It's us just unfreezing them and doing us limiting sanctions.
Okay. I would have to find it.
Yeah, dude, you have no clue what you're talking about.
Right. Your other issues of it being like the war in Iran and the issue is inflation, which I find absurd because inflation, again, under Biden's term was 9%. It is now currently 2%.
Okay, how did the Biden-Harris administration cause that? And inflation hasn't set in yet because it just happened.
The American Rescue Plan. I'm telling you, the American Rescue Plan. After the American Rescue Plan happened,
how did the American Rescue Plan cause inflation?
It was a stimulus package for $2 trillion.
Okay, so because it was $2 trillion, Donald Trump signed off on $8.4 trillion of debt-related spending under his administration, comparative to the Biden-Harris administration, $4.8 trillion, or 4.3 trillion. 4.3 trillion. Sorry, that's
Right.
from the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget.
Okay. And along with us, again, not having a good deal in the nuclear peace agreement with Iran, and along with sending money to Ukraine, like we touched on before, that does not seem economically wise to me. And I would prefer going into war if it means raising inflation up to what Biden had in his term, which is 9%, right? Because we're at 2%. So that would mean we have to have a deficit or an increase of at least 7% in order for me to be upset about it, right?
You wouldn't be upset if we're at 9% inflation.
I mean, I stated that, yeah, I was unhappy with the Biden administration because we were
No.
at 9% inflation. Am I wrong?
If due to this
So-
conflict, we saw 9% inflation, you'd still be like, I don't care.
No, wrong. I would care.
If there was 8% inflation.
It would have to be a 7% increase for me to be upset because that would make me a hypocrite.
Okay. If it was 6% inflation,
No.
you wouldn't
I
care.
would probably be a little upset, but no. I mean, if
How did the
I'm
Biden-Harris
saying
administration
9%,
cause the inflation?
How did the American Rescue Plan Act, because of the stimulus package, because of sending a whole lot of money to multiple foreign countries for multiple different reasons.
Which money to foreign countries?
I mean, I don't have the list because I don't work for the White House, but I mean, Ukraine and Iran, just to name two.
So again, you're saying spending causes inflation, correct?
Spending does, I mean, to an extent, sure.
Okay, so
Depending on how
that's
you
your
spend
argument.
it.
Okay, then if spending doesn't cause inflation, then why are you saying spending causes inflation here? Because I was asking you what caused the inflation. You were bringing up spending.
Because the inflation has to go to multiple countries, but we then print off money for our own people because we're struggling.
Print off? Okay, so if you want to look at M1 and M2, it increased more under Trump.
On inflation?
No, money supply. M1 and M2 money supply increased more under Trump.
Okay, and what about like commercial spending?
Commercial spending?
Commercial spending or consumer spending?
Consumer spending, I'd have to check it overall. I don't know overall. I mean, obviously it increased because GDP increased.
Right.
And consumer spending is an aspect of that.
That would be.
But even if there is an increase, it doesn't necessarily mean it was in
I think it was
consumer
like
spending.
20% for Biden.
Wait, I'm confused. Right?
Go ahead.
Are you saying that it's based on money supply increase or what causes inflation?
Money supply increase.
Money supply increase.
Money supply increase, depending on the percentage of consumer spending, GDP, MR1 and 2.
So money supply increase happened more under Trump.
Okay. Money supply increase happened more under Trump when Biden's American revival program. I don't think that's true.
It is. Go to St. Louis Federal Reserve, look up M1 and M2. I've already looked. I have a degree in economics, just letting you know. Right? And, when I took my economics courses, that's the type of sources they told us to look at. So that's the best source you should look at.
I'm sorry, which one?
St. Louis Federal Reserve. And look up M1 and M2. Both of them increased more under Trump. Now, what you will find is that those more or less relate to like the Federal Reserve, right?
So M2 though, I see a huge spike
so
from
then
2020
yeah, that's under Trump.
to 2022.
No, in 2022 it was not a huge increase.
2022 it peaked.
But I'm talking about the level of increase.
Okay.
Do you want me to show it up on the live? Don't even do this.
I mean, if you want to, yeah, that helps me looking through my stuff.
No, wait. Are you gonna? No, you're already looking at it. So
I am looking at it. Yeah.
So then, why would I need to? I'm only saying that I'm only saying that I would bring it up given that you what's it called? Given that you don't have it.
Yes.
Here, do you want me to just tell you we'll tell you the beginning numbers are. So January 2021, it was 18,000 for M1, right? By the end of the Biden-Harris administration, it was 18,358. And it peaked in 2020 at 20,000, okay? Donald Trump, the beginning of his administration, right? January 2017, 3,399. The end of his administration, it was what I said prior, 18,000. So that's a huge fucking increase. If you're going to say that money supply is what causes inflation, then Trump's administration led to the inflation. Not the Biden-Harris administration.
So when it peaked at 9% under Biden's hand, it was Trump's fault for money spending.
That's under your position, yes.
Okay.
My position is that inflation is a result of supply chain issues globally. So it's not caused by either president necessarily. But who did have more of an effect on inflation? Donald Trump, because of his greater debt-related spending.
Gotcha. Debt-related spending. Wasn't the national debt higher with Biden than it was Trump?
Yeah, because he was president after Trump. The debt's higher right now than what it was under Biden.
Okay.
You want to know why? Because the debt's incurred.
It's a trend increase. I think it will.
Yeah, debt's
honestly,
incurred.
no matter what
Yeah, that's why you look at what was signed into law. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget looks at that. Donald Trump signed off more debt-related spending. Again, $8.4 trillion overall. $4.8 trillion non-COVID related compared to the Biden-Harris administration, $4.3 trillion overall, $2.2 trillion non-COVID related.
Gotcha.
And then also,
yeah, so I mean that's my 2 cents on the whole war thing. I do support it.
But I've responded to every single point that you had. Is there a single thing you can say now?
A single thing. I mean, you were talking a whole lot about gender stuff with that last woman. That was pretty wild. I don't agree with most of the things you were saying.
Cool. That's my
Don't wanna get
position.
into that.
That's my position, but that's not related to why you support Donald Trump.
Yeah,
right?
we're talking about Trump here. You guys got way off topic on that last one, but no,
Yeah,
I mean
because that's for some reason what people's position is as to why they support Donald Trump. Why did that person leave? They were like calling me out in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe that all war is bad. I think this war, if you would consider it a war, it's not declared a war yet, but these are active
Trump
wars.
calls it a war.
Why
does Trump tell Iran to end the war?
It's definitely an act of war. If you want to call it a war, you can. I don't think all war is bad. I mean, multiple reasons on why war is good. Things happen because of war. Good things can happen, bad things can happen. People may die, but you know what? It's a greater of the two evils, in my opinion. And
it's a greater of the two evils to go to war. You just sound like an insane war hawk.
Absolutely.
Dude.
I mean, rather than Iran threatening the United States with their nuclear weapons and their ballistic missiles.
I'm done with him. Yeah. How old are you?
20.
Do you support Trump?
I do.
Okay. Why are you calling me a performative grifter in the chat?
Because I don't think any of the moral positions that you hold are true to what you actually believe in.
Okay. What do I believe in?
If I'm not mistaken, you're an atheist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Basically, like you use derogatory terms for like Christian Abrahamic gods, such as like Sky Daddy, right?
Don't typically use that now, but
I think I've seen multiple.
But I don't call that derogatory.
You don't think that's derogatory?
No.
What if I told you that you have a space daddy?
I'm confused what you mean.
So like the same way that you like hate
I don't believe in any religion.
Yeah, you reject all like notions of God. I understand what atheism is. What I'm trying to say is that just because you reject it, I can say that you have a space daddy.
Okay, cool.
But majority of the time,
I just want to let you know, a dad would be like a personal being. Okay, I don't believe in a specific personal being that like created the universe. So to say that like I would be, misrepresenting my view. So you can say that all you want, but it's just not an accurate representation of my view.
Are you saying that you're an agnostic atheist?
Yeah. How does this make me a performative grifter to be an agnostic atheist? To say that I don't know
because it's
what
like
led
the biggest
to our
cop out of the
existence?
century.
No,
It's literally the biggest cop out of the century. You don't know the
It's
answer,
just
so you
reality.
choose not to find one. No, it's just
Wait, I don't know
It's
the
literal
answer.
willful
Wait.
ignorance.
So this is what it is. I don't know the answer. Therefore, I choose that to acknowledge that I don't have enough good evidence to believe that like a certain thing led to our existence. That's all.
Okay, are you a like? Do you base most of your like decisions off of probability, Parker?
Do I wait? Say that again.
Do you base most of your decisions off of probability?
Do I base most of my decisions based on probability? What I believe to be true based on probability. So what I believe to be true is relevant to my decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you were like go to a blackjack table and you got 19, would you hit again?
Here. How about this? I judge probability depending on the scenario. Sometimes I don't judge probability.
Oh, so you use nuanced thinking instead of like all your decisions that you're using.
I'm confused how I don't use nuance thinking.
No, I'm saying you're using nuanced thinking like in certain decisions that you have to make, right?
Of course.
So why don't you apply that to like the majority of the Trump supporters that come up here and give you their opinions?
I do?
No, you don't.
How so?
No, because you corner them inside of these hypotheticals that don't require any nuanced thinking whatsoever.
Like which ones?
Like ones such as like the I don't know. Are we allowed to say
what is
TRAS?
nuanced thinking? Can you tell me?
Nuanced thinking is like critical thinking, like a deductive.
So if we're thinking about a hypothetical, that's an aspect of critical thinking.
Yeah, but like you can also use critical thinking to corner somebody instead of a critical thinking scenario.
What do you mean by corner someone?
Like if I develop a scenario that corners you into answering a question that requires a yes or no
So
in reality.
Do you mean a reductio ad absurdism?
Yeah, that's what you kind of. It's kind of what you do. Like you're really good at it.
Sorry, not absurdism. Absurd. I call it absurdism. But but that's not like how is that wrong to do? That's actually like common in philosophy. Reductio ad absurdums are important. Yeah, that is good faith. How is it bad faith?
No, that is not good faith.
How is a reductio ad absurdum bad faith?
Because you're making a binary when it doesn't require binary thought.
Okay, well, how does it not require? What do you mean by binary thought? What do you mean?
Do you think
Wait,
philosophically?
I have a question. Is truth binary?
Is truth binary? Objective truth is, not subjective truth.
Well, I mean, in a certain sense, we could say that it's not, as that you could say that something could be undefined.
Yeah, and subjective.
But like, I don't think you even hold that.
Yeah.
You believe something's true or false, right?
Subjectively, yes.
Okay. Subjective, what?
You can have a subjective, objective opinion. I don't know how like the best way to like a subjective,
That's
objective.
incoherent.
Opinion. That's not incoherent. That is the best way I could describe it.
No, what does subjective mean? What does objective
Okay, so
mean?
you can internalize, right, Parker? You can have like a cohesive thought, like between your eyes, right? And you can think of something, right, that can be somewhat objective. You can think that is universal in all regards, but also it is still to your own internalizations, which doesn't make it true.
Can you just define subjective and objective for us? I don't know how
Subjective
you use
is
the
like a
terms.
personal interpretation and internalization of what is given to you. Objective is like a universal truth or a universal thought.
Oh my god, dude. Okay, you're using the terms in a way that I'm not familiar with at all, right? Typically how it's used is that like subjective means true dependent upon a stance, and then objective means true independent of a stance.
I'm using it in the theological and philosophical sense. The most of the theologians
that's actually the typical sense that's used in
well, theologians use it synonymously the way that I'm using it.
Really? Which ones?
The ones that I go to school with.
That being
like my professors, my teachers, the one that teach theology and philosophy.
Okay. So you take theology courses?
I take
Slice, take the $2. Thank you.
Research courses, but yeah, sure, we'll call that.
And Aaliyah, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you. Okay, I'm really confused with you.
Basically,
I don't really know how you're using the terms.
Is that because you're atheist, you hold absurd values in weird positions?
Wait. I heard I hold absurd values. Are you going to try to use a reductio ad absurdum on me?
No, you. How is that a reductio ad absurdum?
Well, because when you're doing a reductio ad absurdum, you're trying to reduce someone to absurdity. But you said it was specifically bad for me to try to reduce someone to absurdity because it was like binary thinking or something like that.
No, that's the case whenever it's like a certain situation, but whenever it's in regard of like majority of your moral beliefs, no, it's not.
Repeat that. I didn't follow.
Okay, so when you like what is called cherry picking at certain positions that people hold that you seem to be objectively false, right? Those things that you can cherry pick off and like get little quick gotchas, right, is what I would consider to be reductio ad absurdum. Now I could do the exact same thing to you, which
No. Let me clarify. A reductio ad absurdum is simply just me giving like a hypothetical scenario, right, based upon the reasoning that they provided, right, testing it in a different scenario in order to be able to either reduce them to an absurd view, right, or a contradiction with their original reasoning. That's what reductio ad absurdum is.
By the
way, I just want to let you know as well. I only have like 6.5 more minutes.
Oh, nice. Well, all I'm saying is just because you're atheist, I can hold you to the same like absurd moral values that you hold, right? Which gives you the Democratic Party and the Liberal Party a peaceful representation.
Okay. There's no absurd value just by being like an agnostic atheist. You're just being ridiculous. I'll actually ask you a question. Are you a Christian?
Yes.
Do you hold to like the teachings of the Bible?
Yep.
Okay. How do you feel about the Old Testament?
I think that it's been amended over the space of like 7 different covenants. So.
Okay. So do you think that, for example, in Exodus, it was at least identifying the moral law defined by God at that time?
Kind of. No, like not necessarily, but like still at the same time, it's kind of hard to say whenever you have 7 different covenants you have to go through, but sure.
So when God teaches people in Exodus, right, how to treat their slaves, is that like the moral law of that time?
Of that certain specific set of time in history, yes.
Okay, so like when God says you can beat people, so long as they recover after a day or two, because they are your property for life, right? Is that something that you think is okay?
In the sense of like them being saved afterhand, yeah. Like I think if they were to achieve and receive eternal salvation, then yes. Why wouldn't I?
So he said that it's okay that God justified slavery because he's going to get heaven.
So wait, internal peace is not good. Like say if I made you.
I'll ask you a question. Would it be justified for God? Would it be justified for God to command a genocide?
Would it be justified for God to command a genocide?
Yeah.
I feel like it's like an unfalsifiable hypothetical, but like for the sake of this argument, I guess.
Yes.
No, Parker.
No, he couldn't. Okay, so in 1 Samuel 15:3, where he commands Saul and his men to slaughter the men, women, children, and infants of Amalek, commit genocide of the Amalekites, right? In that certain scenario, is that not representative of your God? So are you denying that's him?
Not all men and women of Amalek were slain. It says it back later.
Yeah, not all of them were. Yeah. To clarify, not all of them were slain.
It's not a genocide.
Yeah. To clarify, Saul didn't slaughter every single one of them. So because they didn't slaughter every single one of them, God punished them. You use that as like a reason to like make yourself look better. God punished them because they didn't slaughter everyone.
I don't quite understand how how you think that's wrong. Parker, for someone who rejects the entire ideology.
What? How could you consider it wrong to slaughter the men, women, children, and infants of Amalek? How could I consider it wrong to slaughter the infants? Are you pro-life? Are you pro-life, buddy? Hey, buddy, are you pro-life?
You're asking for like.
Are you pro-life? Are you pro-life?
Yeah.
Are you pro-life?
Huh?
Are you pro-life?
Am I pro-life? Am I pro-life?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's real pro-life for 1 Samuel 15:3. He's so pro-life. He's so pro-life that he's in support of God commanding the genocide of the Amalekites and slaughtering the men, women, children, and infants. I have a question. If God commanded you to slaughter the men, women, children, and infants of Amalek, would you do it as a pro-life man?
Do you have you gave me 3 different?
I'm waiting. Answer the question. Answer the question.
Why can't I
answer the question? As a pro-life man, if God
3 reductio ad absurdums in a row and won't let me talk back.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry you hate me. Right? Can you please answer? If God commanded you to slaughter the men, women, children, and infants of Amalek as a pro-life man,
a one-way debate?
as a pro-life man, would you do it?
This is why you're not in good faith. This is a one-way debate.
He won't answer because he knows I'm winning. It's a one-way debate because I'm winning.
in a row. No, it's not. That's not how good faith debates
Okay, well,
work.
I'll let you
literally
ask a few
3 in
questions
row.
until I leave.
Okay.
You're
Thank
right.
you.
You're
Thank
right
you.
now actually reducing how much time you get to respond to me because I have to leave in like 2 minutes. Okay, so you literally, as you cut me off, are limiting the amount of time that you're going to be able to get to speak. So. You know, that's very unfortunate, buddy. Would you like to respond to my question?
Parker.
If God commanded you to slaughter the men, women, children, and infants of Amalek as a pro-life man, what would you do?
Parker, if all it took for the entirety of the world to get eternal salvation, you had to violate one woman's bodily autonomy, what would you do?
I don't believe in salvation. I know. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't violate anyone's bodily autonomy. No. Now, would you like to answer my question? He's not going to answer my question.
For everybody to have internal peace with internal...
Can you answer my question? Is it possible? Is it possible? If you don't answer my question, I'll just... If you don't answer my question, I'll kick you. I said, if you answer my question, I'll let you ask a question. You're not doing that right now.
Do your question again.
If God commanded you to slaughter the men, women, children, and infants of Amalek as a pro-life man, what would you do?
I wouldn't do it. That's just me, though.
So you would disobey God's command?
Yeah, that would be like that. I don't understand how that's wrong.
Why would you disobey? Why would you disobey? Right? Wait, actually, would you do it specifically if everyone in the world got eternal peace?
If everybody in the world got eternal peace, of course, Parker. Why wouldn't I do that?
Okay.
If everybody in the world got eternal peace, that doesn't make sense for me not to do that. That's like a dumb question.
If God came down to you and told you that if you slaughter every baby that you see in your lifetime and you kill it, that you will go to heaven, would you do it?
That I know.
You wouldn't do it?
No, just for me. No, that's selfish.
Why is that selfish?
Just for me, I have to...
No. For everyone. For everyone. They say that everyone gets it.
Everyone gets it? Everybody gets eternal salvation?
Yep.
Then why wouldn't I?
So this is the issue, right? When you believe things like that, well, then, you know what's crazy? The devil, right, under your perspective, could tell you, right, or get you to believe that they are God and could get you to do whatever they want. That's the issue, is that when you don't have these types of moral standards where you can like limit yourself from doing it, the devil can lie to you and tell you whatever you want to hear and will get you to commit atrocities.
See, that's wrong because like you just asked me the same exact questions and in my own interpretations and internalizations of the questions that you gave me, I determined that they were subjectively wrong. It's the same moral deductive reasoning that you
Wait. So are you saying that your morality is independent of religion?
No. I think they're cohesive.
So wait. What do you mean in your subjective sense?
So like I can have my own subjective interpreting like oh my gosh internalization.
No, you don't.
Bible.
No, you don't because you take it from the Bible.
Okay, so Parker, you act like morality doesn't derive from like thousands and thousands and thousands of years of different types of people coming up with different things that like require like empathy or sympathy.
So something independent of religion. Thank you very much.
It doesn't have to be independent. It could also be coherent.
It is. It's your intuition that's independent of your religion. You have the intuition. Parker, you have the intuition that slaughtering the men, women, children, and infants of Amalek is wrong, right? You don't go based upon just God telling you, right? At least I would hope so. If not, you're fucking insane and you're a cultist, and that actually harms our society that you believe shit like that.
Education system. You can't use intuitive thinking inside of the education system, so they have to stand apart. They can't be one and the same.
I'm confused. Intuitive thinking is specifically in the context of morality here, in terms of saying your intuitions for morality are going to contradict here specifically what you're supporting in terms of your religion. That's all I'm describing in terms of your beliefs, your commitments on morality contradict your religious commitments.
It's really funny that you said that because right in the beginning of the conversation, whenever I asked you that you use nuanced thinking inside of certain situations that are given to you and you propagate these things to different types of Trump supporters, right? And then you give these things to them, you use nuanced thinking. So even though like you yourself, Parker, like you don't like donuts because they have trans fats, you were still going to go buy a donut, eat the donut, realize that you just contradicted your own belief that said trans fats are bad for you, and you're still buying the donut.
That's a ridiculous statement. No.
That's a ridiculous statement, but you just
I don't think that all types of nutrients, right, are bad in, certain quantities. And even if I do consider it negative towards your health, that doesn't mean I believe that you shouldn't eat it.
Okay,
Parker, that's not my view.
Parker,
I'm confused what you're saying.
Parker,
there are plenty of things that I think it's totally okay to do, right, that are harmful to your health.
Parker, no, you're completely missing the point. You're strawmanning my argument. Look, you, Parker, right, believe that trans fats are bad for you. I'm not saying that you do right now, or even
in all quantities. No.
No, I'm not even saying that. Just take the hypothetical as it is. You, Parker, a person, Parker, right, believes that trans fats are bad for them.
I don't know why you're...
They go inside of a big... Oh my God, Parker, the reason why you're obfuscating from this is because it proves my point.
No, I'm confused what you're saying.
Okay, let's just say Adam. Adam believes that trans fats are bad for Adam, okay? Adam goes inside of the bakery store and he sees a donut. He likes the donut. He likes the way that it looks, but he knows that it has trans fats, but he still gets it anyway. It contradicted what he wanted to do, but he still got it. So the self-contradiction is still there, but he's using nuanced thinking and is saying, hey, I always still want to eat this donut.
So you're just saying he's a hypocrite. Okay, what's your point?
Okay, but do you think that is like necessarily like a bad thing to be hypocritical about?
I wouldn't say it's a really harmful thing to be hypocritical about, but it's definitely something he's hypocritical about.
So what if I'm contradicting myself inside of the own subscription of the Bible? Why is it bad for me to create kind of like my own doctrine?
Why is it harmful for you to be hypocritical?
Why is it harmful for me to be hypocritical?
I'm just saying it contradicts your worldview. Like I'm confused.
So
because you're not supposed to contradict your worldview. Like for example, like would you be okay with a Christian with Christians just believing whatever they want in terms of heresy?
Yeah, that's called Protestants, Parker. They exist.
Okay.
All right.
No, all Protestants are not heretical. I don't know what you're saying.
Yes, technically they are, but that's not.
Okay. Well, I mean,
but like in the
I guess maybe
right?
to you.
In the own same sense, right?
I mean, his view is that all Protestants are heretical. To clarify, that's
like
crazy.
Parker. This is the same way that I don't believe that gay marriage is bad, in the same way that I don't believe like certain things are bad or under the Christian worldview, because I can internalize and interpret the Bible using intuitive thinking.
You have about 5 more seconds. I have to go down and eat with my girlfriend, so you have about 5 more seconds to finish whatever you want to say.
Self-contradictions, Parker, does not equate or equivocate to them being a dumb person or less than reasonable just because they subscribe or prescribe themselves to a doctrine that is underneath the Abrahamic or Christian worldview that you so deem as like devilish and satanic, okay, that you love to propagate to all your viewers, which is just downright wrong. But just because they have self-contradictions inside of their own Bible, they use intuitive thinking, you should be praising that just a little bit more, saying, oh, okay, well, they don't think gay marriage is bad, but they're still a Christian, so they have these absurd worldviews. It makes you look wrong, it makes you look dumb, and it's very sad to see.
Okay. Obviously, I think that's really ridiculous for you to say, because I can acknowledge that they're hypocritical or self-contradictory in their position. You shouldn't hold to that position, while also acknowledging that you should be progressive Christians, right? Because it is the case that that's a better worldview in terms of how people are treated in society. I do say that, actually. I do say that I'm actually very nice to progressive Christians, and I do like progressive Christians. I just disagree with their worldview. That's actually what I say on my life all the time, and people who are in my community know that.
You just before I even got into the side of the conversation, you reduced me to 5 audioductive ad absurdums just to get a gotcha inside of your entire audience. That's why I think you're a performative grifter. You do those things for the same things that you love to propagate to your audience because you know
Because I ran a fucking debate point on him. He thinks I'm a fucking grifter. You disingenuous piece of shit. You don't even know what fucking grifter means. You think I'm performative just because I gave you a damn argument? Like, you're stupid as fuck. I'm on a debate live, and I'm gonna give people arguments, dude. Seriously, use your brain cells. You want to talk about you want to talk about nuanced thinking, about critical thinking skills? What critical thinking skills and nuanced thinking are you providing to a conversation where you're fucking so out of your mind that someone on a debate platform, hosting a debate platform, is gonna fucking debate you and provide a debate argument against you and put you into a position where you have to answer a question that might make you look bad about your worldview? That's what a debate is, dude. That's what debate is. I'm not a performative grifter for debating. That's a ridiculous statement, dude.
Debate, Parker. That is not a good faith.
By the way, when you say you're a grifter, you're saying that someone's dishonest and they don't actually hold that perspective. That's clearly not true with me. I clearly do hold this perspective, and you're just assuming that I'm dishonest in the perspective because you want to make yourself feel better about yourself, that there are people that disagree with you.
No, that is not exactly what I'm saying, Parker. You're doing this for
I have to get off now. I seriously have to go.
Okay, Parker. Well, I hope you have a better genuine heart whenever it comes to having conversations with people rather than being a disingenuous prick. So
I'm not disingenuous. You're mad. Get fucked.
I'm not mad, bro.
Get fucked, buddy. Get fucked. You got fucking destroyed in the conversation and you're mad. You're mad that I go in front of fucking 8,000, 9,000 people every single day and I'm able to spread my opinions that positively impact the world, and you think negatively impact the world because you're a disillusioned, insane lunatic that supports someone like fucking Donald Trump, held civilly liable of sexually abusing a woman, that called for the determination of the Constitution that said false leads of electors, electoral college cast Trump votes so we didn't win to steal the election. Said you dated 10-year-old girl in 10 years. Bragged about walking into the changing rooms of girls Miss USA because he quote unquote owns the place to inspect them without their consent. And that's why you think I'm such a bad person. That's why you think I'm disingenuous. And that's why you're so jealous that you have to call me a grifter, because it is the case that you can't acknowledge the fucking reality that there are people out there that call out the disingenuous bullshit that you support every single fucking day. So have a fucking good day listening to my fucking streams every single night, because you're so fucking disillusioned to the idea that Donald Trump is a great fucking guy. You're going to keep listening to the fact that you support horrible shit. All right, I'm going to get off, everyone. I got to go. I seriously have to go. I'm like literally late. I'm like, I got to go. What is he? Thank you so much for the flying jets. Thank you so much. I literally went over because that guy was just like insane. All right, everyone. I'm going to go. If I missed any what's it called? Any donations, I apologize. I've got to go downstairs. I love y'all so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, everyone. Seriously, for all the support. If you're on YouTube, make sure to like the stream. If you're on TikTok, make sure to follow me if you haven't already. We had 2,200 new people that followed today. That's amazing. I really appreciate it. Also, if you're 6,500 people on TikTok, go over to my YouTube. I would really appreciate it. Go subscribe to my YouTube. I would really, really appreciate that. I've been putting a lot of effort into the YouTube. So I love y'all so much. Have a fantastic night, everyone. I will see y'all later.